Okay, folks, let's get into the meat of the show. Let's talk some pop culture things, and then let's recap the hell out of this episode of Real Housewives of Orange County, or as I call it, the destruction of Shannon Beador slowly throughout a season. I mean, it's just so insane, especially that scene at her 60th birthday tea party when they deliver the Alexis flowers. I mean, there are a lot of things that even I get shocked by still. And I watch all of this stuff. And that was even shot. Like, you can't even let her have a day. You can't let her have a 60th birthday little tea party with like a giant olive branch getting brought out and she has to open the card in front of everybody. And yeah, by the way, Shannon says in this episode, I've got to set boundaries. So why would I invite her to England? No, good. Set a boundary. Tough luck, Alexis. Better luck next year. I mean, Alexis is not making it easy on herself, and her reaction at the very end of this episode, which, I mean, the last 5 minutes of this episode was so good. I mean, it just goes to show you she's not really wanting Shannon to forgive her any kind of olive branch or any of this. She's looking to be upset at Shannon. And Shannon, like we always say, is not without fault. And yes, she has been a victim many times on this show, but this is a season where I truly do believe with everything that I have, which is not much right now, that she is a victim. That I mean, and she's just every week there is something new. Even in the off season, we had the Love Hotel stuff that broke this weekend with comedian and host Joel Kim Booster, which we'll talk about in a second. But man, this episode started strong and it ended really strong. There's a lot of stuff in between that was neither here nor there. I mean, we're going to go over it and hopefully laugh about it and make some fun out of it. But, got a little lost in the weeds in certain moments. But man, strong beginning and strong ending. Now, reminder, they are filming the OC reunion this Sunday in Los Angeles. And I was on, it's been a crazy day, you guys. I mean, every day has been crazy this year. And I'm so lucky and I'm so grateful, but man, it's been a lot lately. And I'm feeling it. So just bear with me. I'm going to power through this. And I know you guys have nothing to do with this, but I need some energy and I need some clear thinking because I am going on fumes right now. But sometimes that makes for more interesting shows. This could be completely unhinged. Let's find out together as a family. How's your Saturday going so far? Is it good? I'm so happy that you are here with me. You guys are the reason I do this. I don't get to see all my DMs or even a lot of them anymore, but I got a really nice one right before I started saying, oh, I really like the show and it really just helps, to even have it on the background. And messages like that, it means the world to me. And it gives me kind of like this little shot of caffeine. And you're like, oh man, this is amazing. This is why I'm so lucky to do all of this. And I want to do all, I wish podcasting was around when I was in my 20s. That would have been, I wish I'd started super early. I always feel like, do you guys feel like you're in like a race against the clock? I always feel like that. I always feel like, oh man, I've got so little of life left potentially. And so you're always like, oh, I've got to try to strike while the iron's hot. I need sleep. I need sleep. I was on Up and Adam Live with our good buddy Adam Newell today on his YouTube channel, which you can go check out. And we were talking about like Orange County, obviously, and this season, but I got to share with him about going to Vicki and Shannon live, or Shannon and Vicki live. So we went all the way down to Irvine, and I was talking to you guys yesterday on the Salt Lake recap, which I love. That Salt Lake episode was so bizarre, but man, that's like a gift when an episode is that bizarre, when there's so many things to poke fun at, and like, it just activates your imagination. So I am loving Salt Lake this season. But like I said last week, Salt Lake and OC exist on different planes. And we now have RHOC that just came back into the mix this week. And then this Sunday, reminder that Real Housewives of Potomac premieres. And now we have all of a sudden this glut of shows, and it's like overwhelming as a viewer. Like, are you guys overwhelmed? Or are you guys going to watch RHOC? What are you deciding for yourselves in terms of viewing habits? Because there's a shit ton of TV. There is a lot of people vying for your attention, vying for your eyes, because we have all of this stuff on Bravo, but we have so many other things on other streaming services and networks. You got like 7 episodes of Love is Blind that's out. You had that Menendez brother, like 9 episode or 10 episode series, and a new documentary that came out this weekend on the Menendez brothers. You have this show. You just heard a guest earlier, Xavier Prather, who won Big Brother season 23. You have The Anonymous on USA, which I'm just getting like into. It's actually a really good show. You can watch that on Peacock as well. But there is so many things right now. And I always get worried for all of those shows because there is a competition for our eyes, our eyeballs. Is that like which shows are going to take off, which shows are going to be left in the wayside. So you want to make sure you have a really good show, because you also want to give that opportunity for people to catch up to the show of like, oh, 5 episodes in, people are talking so good about it that you're like, oh, I got to go catch up. I got to get into this. And I would imagine that's the hard thing about Bravo and Housewives in general is that when, you're going on 18 seasons of Real Housewives of Orange County, that's a lot of seasons of a show. And so it's hard to bring new people in because sometimes they feel like, oh, I wouldn't even understand what's going on at season 18. Don't trust me. You would. It's pretty easy to understand what's going on. But you have to like get new people in and you have to keep the old people. And then you have all of these other iterations of the Housewives as well, on top of inspiring all of these other shows on other networks and streaming services that are now trying to compete with you. Secret Lives of Mormon Wives over on Hulu just got renewed. And, obviously everybody is loving. There's just a lot. So that's, I think maybe sometimes this show can be useful for is trying to cut through some of that noise. I mean, RHONY, I got to squeeze in like not a full RHONY recap, but talk about RHONY on Monday. And then I want to talk about Potomac. And so there's just a lot. Okay. So Vicki and Shannon live, or Shannon and Vicki live. So Irvine, it took us, I thought it was going to take 2 hours. It took us 2.5 hours to drive down to Irvine. And just so I live in like Los Angeles, Hollywood area. And it's only, I mean, not only, but it was 51 miles to Irvine. 2.5 hours for 51 miles. That's how insane traffic is in Los Angeles. And just especially around like 5 p.m., it gets really insane. So 2.5 hours. And I got to tell you, after watching that show, I might have driven 3 hours. I would have driven potentially 3 hours. I thought it was, guys, I can't even explain. So I'm trying to think of this. It's incredible. The show is incredible, but it's incredible because it's them. It's Vicki and Shannon. And to be able to see those two people live, it's like, your favorite show coming to life. And so that's the appeal of it. Like, they do like singing and dancing, and that is exactly what you would think it would be. But that is also part of the joy of the show as well, of kind of this waiting for Guffman-esque, the banter between the ladies, that they're not professionals. They don't do this for a living, but that also is like, that's part of that charm. Now, I mean, it was pretty packed at that, the Irvine Improv, and there was a lot of people there. And by the way, there were so many people there that came up, and I should have written down everybody's name that came up to say thank you for coming up and saying hi. And I mean, that was amazing that like people are listening to the show. Had a lady in the beginning that like showed me her phone with a text message, and I was so tired, and it said like my name, but it also said, I got a root canal, so it's hard to talk. And I had no clue what it meant, but it meant that this amazing lady had a root canal. So she was showing me the phone saying like, hey, it's hard for me to talk, but I wanted to say hi. And we got to talk for a second. Her son, she told me, is getting engaged this weekend, which is huge. So congratulations. 2 amazing women at the end came up, and it was just a bizarre night, because you just don't think you're going to go see 2 housewives do a live show. And I will tell you, there were some disappointments. If you watch this season of OC, you saw that in St. Louis, they were doing this thing where they were like launching t-shirts into the audience with a slingshot. We didn't get the slingshot in Irvine. Somebody must have gotten hurt or injured at some point, because the slingshot was completely taken out of our performance. And I thought that was bullshit. I wanted to see them maneuver a slingshot. Now, Doug Buden, who's on Jeff Lewis all the time on Sirius, but he is the MC for Shannon and Vicki Live. And he is just, Doug Buden is just one of the nicest guys that I've ever met in Hollywood. And I'm so lucky this past year that I've gotten to know him a little bit. But on top of being like one of the nicer guys I've ever met, he's just so damn talented. And just imagine having to wrangle Shannon and Vicki and keep a show moving. And like, this guy can handle anything. And it was so fun to watch him do what he does. And he even used me. He like let me go into the audience with the mic and get questions from the audience. And that was like super fun. And so speaking of the questions from the audience, one of the other, not a complaint, but I noticed it was such a big room. It was really hard to gauge the audience's reaction. Like it was a different, like when I went to do that Jeff Lewis live thing in Arizona, that crowd was like primed, like ready, man. And you could tell there was some drinkers there. I mean, it was just like people were like screaming out things. I thought like a wrestling match was going to happen at some point, but this was not like, it was not a tepid crowd, but it seemed like a more reserved crowd. I could be wrong in that because I don't, maybe I just, but it was like, even when I was going into the audience for questions, I thought people would be throwing up their hands left and right, but it was like pulling teeth to the point where I was able to ask my own questions a couple of times because I was like, I want to know this, I want to know that. But the big thing of the night, and I don't know if you guys will be able to hear this, is that the first question asked, and I posted video of this on my Instagram, but also it's on Bravo Breaking News's Instagram because Kim, who runs Bravo Breaking News account, and I think she's great. She asked the first question, and it was the question that I think everybody, or at least us, the Chronically Online, wanted to know. And it was literally like, what's going on with Love Hotel and what happened exactly with Joel Kim Booster. So let's play this audio right now and let you guys hear it if you haven't seen it on my Instagram, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
I feel sorry for the innocents. They thought that I'm losing my pathetic group. And they really going to look through it for her because they're nothing but love for me. The way advice here. That is so professional. I can very you and most of the show. That's so professional for you to do. So what I'm sad about is that I did actually some kind things on the show, and people said it was fun. So it's hard for me to walk away from an experience that I really enjoy.
Okay, I don't know. I'm going to try to fix that later afterwards because I completely started choking as that clip was playing. So who knows if you heard it, but I'll try to fix it in post. But yeah, she was saying that she was surprised by the whole thing with Joel Kim and that she thought they had a decent relationship. Now, Ashley Darby from Potomac is also on Love Hotel. And I might be talking to Countess Luann next week, so I'll ask her about this, but had no idea that this was happening, behind the scenes or there was bad blood. So it seems like they both had a similar thought. Now, I'm not saying that Shannon, I don't know. I've been thinking way too much about this because I'm so confused. It's a wrap party, right? They finished filming, shooting a show. You're celebrating. So something big must have happened that night or right before. But also, I think drinks were involved, right? And it seems like it didn't seem like he did. He lashed out at Shannon Beador online. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, doing what I do or what I'm trying to do, there is this kind of level of professionalism. Now, Joel Kim Booster, I've said before, like super funny, super smart, always a fan of his work. So I kind of was like, what pushed him to do this? And I don't think he's made any statements since then. Somebody said he made a Reddit comment, but I can't prove that is actually him or not. And I hate passing around false information, but I just kept thinking the truth is somewhere in the middle here. And also, how aware is Shannon of her own behavior in those situations? Now, also, when you are a quote unquote star of one of these shows, you are treated in such a way. And I was trying to think about jobs I've had in the past or how we've bitched and moaned about one of our bosses behind their backs. But to their faces, we're like, hey, everything's great. Everything's great. And then behind, so I was trying to think, these things do happen and people do have strong opinions. It's taking it to that online step. And especially we didn't know Joel Kim Booster was even hosting this show. And even some of you guys listening are like, I don't even know who Joel Kim Booster is, but it's an opportunity. And you want to come with that with professionalism. Now, he was saying he was sticking up for one of the producers and other people, which is noble. But I don't know. But Shannon, as you heard, hopefully, kind of was very surprised and hurt by the whole thing. So that's what I'm saying. It's like these things, I feel like Shannon, it's like the law of attraction, but she just attracts horrible shit. I mean, imagine that. Like, you're done filming the OC, you're done filming Love Hotel, and all of a sudden you have a new online thing, not just Alexis and Johnny J and all of our crap we always talk, but now somebody else coming at her daughters, saying John Janssen of all people, like he said he felt bad for. Don't, Joel, that's where nobody needs to feel bad for John Janssen. We'll get into Johnny J. For somebody who wants to like worry about his reputation and doesn't like the camera, this guy sure seems like he loves the camera and loves the attention. And also, if he didn't, he wouldn't be dating somebody that was like begging to get back on this show. Probably not begging, but you know what? She wanted to get back on the show. They all want to get back on the show once they're gone, which we'll bring up because they had a special guest or a couple special guests at the Shannon and Vicki live. They had Gretchen Rossi, Slade was there, and Lizzie. Remember Lizzie with the swimsuit line? So all three of them, I was like waiting for Kelly Dodd to make an appearance, but I don't know. Like, Shannon does seem to obviously attract a lot of this stuff. And I do wonder at any point in therapy, if she does therapy, if she's ever looked at that behavior of what she is doing that is potentially attracting these types of reactions from people. Because sometimes, even in my own experience, I will not be meaning any harm, but then you realize that how other people perceive what you perceive to be something completely different, or you're nervous about something else or feeling this way about yourself, they take completely different, and it inspires some reaction. Like, it's really hard for me for a lot of reasons to get back to people. I'm really bad at responding back to DMs, emails, that kind of stuff. And what I always tell people is like, yo, I'm just really disorganized, and I have ADD, and it's like seems overwhelming, and I won't do it. And it's nothing about any of these people, or, it's never about that. But then sometimes it's gotten to a point where people will be like, you'll see like 3 weeks later, how dare you? Fuck you. How and what? Oh, you know what? I can tell what you think of me. And I'm like, no, it's just, I'm horrible at this. No, it's not you at all. It's me. No. I love you. So I do wonder if Shannon's ever truly looked at that. And, it's never too late to look at that. I mean, she's 60 years old now. I will say, dude, she looked phenomenal last night. 60 years old. She looked amazing. Truly amazing. So we'll find out more, I'm sure. And since Joel didn't really respond back, it seems like it's kind of died out a little bit. I'm interested also if this will get brought up at the Real Housewives of Orange County reunion. It probably won't, because Love Hotel hasn't even come out yet. So I don't know why they'd be talking about this unless somebody uses it to throw it in Shannon's face of, you get problems with everybody, God, I wonder how Alexis is. I hope Alexis doesn't prepare too much this weekend. I hope she just naturally lets things happen and kind of really takes into account a lot of the audience's reaction, and also mellows out. Just tries to like come in at a very even keel. I hope the same of Tamra. I was telling, on Up and Adam, I was saying, I hope Tamra just comes in and tries to do a 180 of the normal Tamra of like actively engaging and getting activated, and just goes, just calm power, not like I'm going to freak out and start yelling at you. Like, I think that would throw a lot of other people off their games. And it's so funny when I say off their games, because that's what it is. Like, you go into a reunion and it starts becoming like this game. And I asked Shannon last night, I said, you're filming the reunion on Sunday. What does that feel like when you go into these things? How nervous do you get? And she was like, well, I've done this for 10 seasons. And yeah, of course, there's nerves and all this stuff. And there are people that I really am excited to see. And there are people that I am not excited to see. And then Vicki's like, Tamra, Vicki, I'm telling you, Shannon comedically on screen is hysterical. Vicki is hysterical on screen, but live, I mean, she's just so Vicki. Like, it's so not an act what you see on TV, and you really get that sense immediately. There were so many moments where, I mean, just Vicki can't help herself, and she'll just blurt out things that are wildly inappropriate, yet weirdly funny at the same time. So that question was asked. I also asked, hey, Gretchen, are you coming back to Real Housewives of Orange County next season? Because nobody was really asking Gretchen questions at all, which kind of shocked me. And she said, well, if the money's right. And I was like, I thought to myself, wrong answer. No, nobody's going to back up the Brinks truck for any of these women. Like these ladies all know what an opportunity it is, because then you can push all of your other products throughout the show. So I just thought that was a wrong. And there was a producer in the audience from Real Housewives of Orange County. And I was like, no, don't say if the money's right. No, come back, because it's going to help all of your other things. But I don't know. I have no opinion on that one way or the other. But like I said earlier this week, it looks like all of these people are coming together in a potential effort to take down Tamra next season. Also, in regards to Love Hotel, two of the gentlemen that were contestants on Love Hotel, which is a dating show, they were in the audience as well, sitting next to Shannon Beador's dad. And they were good looking dudes. So I am one, and Shannon was like, hi to the guys. So I was wondering, man, did Shannon make some sort of love connection? Is she dating both of these guys? Like, what's that? Or is this, I thought that was interesting that both of these dudes were there. And I'm going to throw up a bunch of video on my Patreon later tonight of the videos I took. I mean, it's not great, but it's something if you guys want baddies over there at the Patreon, if you want to see those. Also, Shannon Beador's dad, who we've seen many times, Gene the Machine, he was sitting right next to me and my girlfriend, and we sit down. He's 95 years old. This dude looks amazing. He started hitting on my girlfriend. Gene the Machine literally was, and Rebecca loved it. She was like, he's very charming. And I'm like, go home with Gene then. I'll just do this 2.5-hour ride by myself. Like, yeah, please. But it was so funny. He was like, immediately was like, hey, how are you doing? I was like, I texted Doug. I was like, Shannon's dad is hitting on my girlfriend. This is super weird. But no, I loved it. Let's see. Some other things that stood out about the show. Obviously the singing and the dancing, but there was this amazing segment called What Were You Thinking that Doug hosted, where he would put up iconic pictures of them throughout their housewives career. And he would be like, literally, what were you thinking? And so you had the Shannon Beador, David Beador, here lies Shannon Beador, with her laying down, and he had to pretend like she was dead. And she was telling the story behind that. And it was really just fascinating. First off, they had that picture huge behind her. And then to hear her talk about it and say, the teacher of that seminar was kind of chastising David because it was hard for him to get emotional. And there's the first time he got emotional about it. They also talked about Vicki when they did that trip. What was it, to Iceland or something? And she had to be wheeled off in a stretcher. And there was a huge white towel over her. And she told this batshit crazy story that she was like, I mean, we fly there, and it's daytime all the time there. There's no real night. And so we get there, and I don't know if it's 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. And so we say it's 7 p.m. So we went to, she goes, we went to a high school graduation party. She was like, we got some drinks. We went to a high school graduation party. She didn't really explain how they wound up at a high school graduation party, but she's like, they obviously whooped it up. And then they got back, and then we're told, no, it was 7 a.m. and you got to now shoot in 10 minutes. And Vicki told Kelly Dodd, Vicki was like, I can't do that. I'm dying. I feel like I'm dying. I got to go to bed. And so Kelly Dodd, this is allegedly, according to Vicki Gunvalson, not me, according to Vicki Gunvalson, Kelly Dodd gave her 2 pills. And Vicki was like, what is this? What's this? And she's like, it'll be fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Just take them. It'll be good for you. And she took it, And Vicki said she felt like she was having a heart attack, and it seemed like she went into a psychotic break. And all of a sudden, like, producers had to go to the room. Somebody threw a glass of water on Vicki's face to like snap her out of it. And so one of the producers came in and saw Vicki just like drenched with water dripping down her face. And she was like, "What happened to you, Vicki?" He's like, I'm dying. And a producer at the last minute knew that the cameras were out there. So like did her a solid and threw a bed sheet over her so she looks like a ghost and wheeled her out so the cameras wouldn't see, what Vicki actually looked like in that moment. But I also thought, what a great producer, and also what an amazing visual that turned out to be. Because I've seen that picture like a million times now, and it always makes me laugh because it's Vicki in a sheet on a stretcher. I mean, if we saw Vicki, that would be, probably okay too. But if there's something more iconic about a sheet thrown over. Shannon told stories about like when Kelly gonged her too hard. Kelly gonged her too hard at that retreat that one time. And Shannon was like, yeah, like she gonged me hard and like it really rattled my brain. And then Kelly told me later that I should get checked out by a doctor because one of her ex-boyfriends, something like that happened to him and he was leaking out he was leaking out brain fluid or something. And I was like, how are any of them on this planet Earth with us? I mean, you're like, how do you guys even manage life? Like the stories they tell are so insane. What are some of the other ones that were truly some of the other things that are said? Oh, somebody brought up Dorinda and doing Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. And Vicki was like, Dorinda's horrible. She's horrible. And she yelled out to the producer in the audience, isn't she horrible? You agree, right? Right? Because they were talking about staying at her Berkshire Manor. Or Bluestone Manor. And so I thought that was super funny that she like shit talked Dorinda. Vicki shit talked Tamra way more than Shannon did. Really shocked. John Janssen didn't get brought up a lot. Like you could have asked anything. They said no holds barred, but John Janssen really didn't get brought up a lot, which just kind of proves the point of, dude, if your girlfriend, your current girlfriend wasn't on the show, we wouldn't be talking about you at all. Your reputation would be fine. But now that she's on, we're all talking about it. But like last night, they weren't like trying to talk about how horrible John Janssen was. Like it came up a couple of times, but nothing so insane that I need to report back to you guys about. Just like what a horrible situation it all is. They also brought up Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Morocco, which we will never see because of that lawsuit between Caroline Manzo and the Brandy Glanville of it all. And Gretchen was on that cast and Vicki was on that cast as well. And Vicki was like, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was a great time. And Gretchen said she had a great time as well. But then Vicki also said, oh, I think Caroline liked what Brandy was doing to her, which I thought was like, damn, Vicki, what are you saying? What are you saying? Yeah. And then afterwards, like I had to get home to do the Salt Lake City recap and I knew we had a long drive ahead of us. So we got out of there. I could have stayed around and talked tried to talk with Shannon and Vicki more, but I did have to go out. But I got a Coto insurance hat. Look at the beautiful hat. Oh, also Vicki does an ad for Coto, like at the end of the show. She like, and this isn't tongue in cheek or funny. She was like, literally, if anybody wants insurance, Coto, and they have a huge on the screen with a QR code so you can click it. I was like, should I get Coto insurance just so I can get close with Vicki? So yeah, they had like a whole meet and greet afterwards, which I didn't stay around for, but overall, just a very bizarre, fun time. And I didn't even drink. I was like, no, I can't even drink tonight, but it felt like I was drinking. Like I feel hungover right now because I think it's been busy and it was just so bizarre to watch these ladies do their show. I will say though, also, I was, like the Tres Amigas. Now it's the Dos Amigas. And I do wonder if Tres Amigas will ever come back. I doubt it will. But also I would be wondering, because I never saw the Tres Amigas show in the first place, I imagine that Tamra probably brings a little bit more sturdiness to it, because even if you hate Tamra or love Tamra, I think Tamra can usually, like, she has an agenda. She's like, this is happening, this, like she produces, and you see that on the show as well. So I would have been curious to see the Tres Amigas just to compare the two. But overall, a very bizarre night. I recommend it. Go with your Bravo friends. Go meet Bravo people. Like they all love this show. So it was so cool to like get to meet people and talk to people. I wish I could have done more of that. So that's Shannon and Vicki live. That's touching rarefied air. So they were like in the songs, they were like missing lyrics. They put on tap shoes at the end, but the choreography was completely off. And I was thinking about that. I was like, but that's kind of what you want, right? You don't want it to be perfect. You want it to be messy because it's Shannon and Vicki. That's part of the whole charm of Shannon and Vicki. Like if they came out and then all of a sudden they were doing like Les Mis and they were like hitting their cues and like, oh my God, Vicki has an operatic voice. You would be like, wait, what? Oh God. And also some of it, Vicki told us the story of the family van of that story. She told the story of going to see Michael, her son, and when she surprised him at his fraternity. She told, I mean, so many classic stories, and you forget that these women have legitimately been through so much. We did the quiet woman of Shannon and, going, this isn't my fucking plate. And she told the story about like, she was like, I was just so overweight at the time. And I had always been thin and all it was, but hearing them tell it just felt like inside the actor studio. I was like, yes, tell me more. Like I could have, like the whole show could have just been talking about certain scenes from those shows and I would have totally dug it. So let me know if you've seen it and what you've thought about it and if you're going to see it, and then we can commiserate as a family. Whew. Okay, moving. Okay. This episode of Real Housewives of Orange County. Oh, it's episode 13. It's called You Are Cordially Not Invited. Boom. And obviously that is because Alexis, we find out, is not invited to the England trip that starts next week. Now, the show description that Peacock gives us is Tamra reveals more surprising information about Ryan. So that's what Peacock gives us to work with in terms of what this episode is about. That's literally very little of the episode, but we will obviously be in Ryan Boyajian territory for the rest of the season now that this has been introduced. We do know they picked back up cameras to film. Tamra was on my show last week. She wears the FBI hat at some point because she's doing a little bit of prop comedy like Carrot Top. And yeah, I mean, Ryan has gone on record. He sent the cease and desist to Tamra last weekend. So I do wonder how that's going to affect the reunion. Like by saying that cease and desist, is Tamra allowed to say anything about Ryan at that reunion, or will it kind of muzzle her, which is what cease and desist are supposed to do? And I do wonder if we're able to bring this up at all on the reunion, and if Jenn will actually answer questions, or will she pull the I'm actually legally not allowed to speak about that right now. And, we're just hoping for the best. Like, I wonder how it's going to be presented and how it's going to be handled. Also, I mean, sometimes I miss the reunions where they used to bring out the husbands for like a segment. I mean, I would love potentially for Ryan to come out. I mean, oh my God. Oh, I just had this chilling thought that just went down my back into my butt crack oh my God, you guys. I don't even know. This is how sleepy I am. Do you think John Janssen's going to come with Alexis to the reunion? Like just there for moral support? You think they'll have him oh my God, we need that trailer that Raquel Leviss and Sheena had to be in during that one Vanderpump Rules season when they had to be like 300 yards away from shooting due to the legal thing that Raquel did against Sheena. Oh my God. Can you imagine John Janssen in that trailer just watching the closed circuit feed because they have to keep him away from Shannon and Shannon away from him? I am so scared that John Janssen's going to be there on Sunday. And then we'll get that typical Andy thing, when he starts every reunion, when he's like going around their trailers, like, hey, you look great, Tamra. You excited for today? Like, imagine going into Alexis's room and she's like just finished like boinking Johnny J. Like, hey, John, you're looking dapper. I'm loving that leather coat. Are those the shoes Shannon bought you? Amazing. Amazing. Well, we'll see you out there. Glad to have you back, Alexis. Also, we do that normal thing with every reunion with Andy, where Sunday they'll be filming. So my prediction is around 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You'll get that Instagram story from Andy where he's like, Orange County reunion day. Very excited. Season 18. It's going to be crazy. And then 2 hours later, you'll get another Instagram story from Andy where he's sitting in his mediator chair, and he'll be like, who, you guys, that we just got through the first segment. It is insane. Shannon, how you doing? And then he'll lean the phone camera to Shannon, and she'll be like, oh, guys, stay tuned. And then 6 hours later, we'll get an Instagram story from Andy where he'll be like, still here. I can't believe we're still here. We're still here. And then 2 hours later from that, they'll wrap, and you'll have to pay attention to the other housewives Instagram stories or Instagrams, because they'll all divert into like two teams. And you can usually tell who thinks they won the reunion by the smiles on their faces. So like I predict like Heather Dubrow, they'll go to like the Polo Lounge. It'll be interesting to see which group Alexis goes with, which group Shannon goes with. So that's what you usually see on social media when they shoot these reunions, which I always get fascinated by, because you can pick up little clues and get little like what was brought up. I mean, hell, remember they had to take Sutton to the hospital last Beverly Hills reunion. Oh God, poor Shannon. I hope Shannon wears a bulletproof vest. I hope she goes in like a full chain link, like old timey thing like that knights used to wear to protect themselves against swords. I hope she's carrying a bucket load of crystals with her. Like, what are the chances that Tamra apologizes to Shannon this reunion? I think there might be a little bit of a chance, but she'll like come hard. But like, you got to understand, Shannon, you did so much to me that people didn't see. Like, I'm so curious for all the conversations that we're going to have happening. Will we see Terry Dubrow's full new nose on display? Who knows? Anyways, we start this episode, and we, as we always do, we're like previously on Real Housewives of Orange County. And we start with Alexis, and she's at Jenn Pedranti's house where they had that like adult Jenga party where she tried to throw the Jenga wood into a fireplace that wasn't meant. It was, a gas fireplace, so it wouldn't burn. And also, you're not allowed to just throw other people's games into a fire. Like, I just think that's common courtesy and being a polite person. You want to ask first, like, hey, I'm about to throw this game that looks kind of expensive into the fire. Is that cool with you? So we have that clip of Alexis going, "You're going in the fire." Ah! And Alexis, just once again, a reminder of doing too much with too little. Like, just throwing it all against the wall. And I can't tell if it's because she knows she has limited time, so she feels like she needs to stand out, or if she truly is going through a really hard time and is very imbalanced. That's what you get the picture of through this edit, is that she's very unbalanced. Now, we do know, and I'm not standing up for Alexis, but I do want to point out she lost her mom the year of filming, got out of an engagement of a multi-year relationship, and then met John Janssen. So she had a lot of stuff happening, and we don't really know too much about that because her storyline has just been John Janssen. So, and she really, and we've seen this with Jim Bellino back in the day, is that she's ride or die for her guy, right? But almost too ride or die. Like, hey, maybe stop a second and just kind of take into account that Shannon and, John had a 3+ year relationship that you weren't there for. You weren't there for. You've got to let your dude tell his side of the story to you, of course, and you want to believe him, of course. But also, we get to a certain age where it's not black and white. There's so much gray. Just because he feels this way, you got to understand somebody else feels that way. And I think once you get to a certain age, you start realizing that everything is not just black and white. There is so much in between, but nuance is not good with any of these ladies. Anyways, we have that Emily telling Tamra at that same party where, like, Alexis is wackadoodle. She's wackadoodle. And Tamra, which I thought was super funny, goes, "Hey, so I guess John has a type, huh? John likes the wackadoodles." Wait, by the way, what was John Janssen's dating or marriage history before this? I know he was married before, but were those women potentially considered wackadoodles? Who knows? And then we cut to that scene where at the same party, where everybody's like, "Are you okay, Alexis? What's going on? What's and Alexis is like, "What's happening?" All of a sudden she gets like a Kenosha. "What's happening is, oh." And Gina's like, "It's a Shannon thing." And she's like, "It's all of the legal battle, period." And then we cut to Tamra from last week's episode where Tamra is reading on People magazine. She's like, John Janssen sues ex Shannon Beador for $75,000. And Tamra going, now it all makes sense why Alexis was acting a little loony. And then she's like, oh, Shannon's calling me, and Shannon butt dial. And you hear Shannon going, I can't. Oh, I can't. It's too much. Now, Shannon clarified this last night at the live show and said, yeah, like I did butt dial, but what had happened was that John Janssen, through his PR people, released this to People magazine. So People magazine reached out to Shannon before they went to press with it and said, hey, would you like to comment on this story? We're going to put it out in 30 minutes. And Shannon was like, yeah, of course I want to comment. So Shannon reached out to her lawyer. Her lawyer didn't get back to her in time, and People just released it without the Shannon Beador comment, which is pretty kind of shady of People magazine. Who knows if it really went down that way, but that's pretty shady because you do want to give that other person a beat to respond. And it seems like they were just in a rush to get it out without that Shannon Beador comment, because her comment would have clarified from her side. But to hear Shannon's face, you're like, yeah, of course. She was like, yeah, it was just released. So that was me like freaking out after it was released, because I tried to be a part of this article because it was so like all of a sudden she opens it up and People's like, we want to quote about John Janssen suing you. And that's the first time she heard that it was official, that it actually was happening, and that he went to the press with it. And she had 30 minutes to respond. Isn't that wild? Okay, so then the next scene is Emily, where Emily, last week's episode, telling the ladies that she was the only person that had to bring their own jeans to wear at Heather Dubrow's fashion show. And then we had last week's, or maybe 2 weeks ago, episode where Emily is crying to Heather saying, I feel like I was singled out. And Heather Dubrow's like, I thought I was giving a starring role. And Emily going, I'm asking you to have a conversation, Heather. And Heather going, could you be quiet for a second? And Emily goes, no, fuck off. And just walks away. Woo! Emily activated. Then we cut to last week. And that is the dinner party at Katie Janela's house. Poor Matt, her husband, still must just be in trauma therapy after this evening. I truly, that's the conversation I would love to hear. And that, they don't think would be exciting for TV, but to me, it would be exciting to have that conversation of Matt to Katie once everybody left, and Matt like going, okay, none of your new friends can ever come over again. Yeah, we can't have, this is not good. We can't have this happen. So we have the beginning of that party from last week when Ryan Boyajian, I love to say his last name, comes in that puffy coat and sees Eddie. He's like, hey, bud, how are you, dude? What up? What's up? And he goes in to hug Eddie, and Eddie's like, no. And Ryan's like, you want to give me a hug? And he's like, no, I don't want to give you a hug, Ryan Boyajian. And then we cut to later that night when Tamra, couple martinis deep, she is going in. Now, remember, I pointed out last week that Tamra, this is why I say she produces, because she is the person that brought all three topics to this dinner conversation that we see on the show. So this is like, I would imagine, a producer's wet dream of like, man, she is bringing what we need to hear. She's like bringing that conversation to the table. Now, I think she's kind of like a blunt force object. It's not delicate. She's just like throwing them out there. And she was also a little tipsy. But Tamra tells Ryan, don't talk about my fucking kids. And Ryan says, I feel unvalidated in everything I said based on the way you guys. And Tamara's like, are you fucking kidding me? And he's like, yeah, by the way you treated me. And then Tamra goes, how's the FBI going for you? And Eddie keeps going, stop, and trying to like pull her head towards it. Stop. And Ryan's like, FBI? Never even heard of that. What? FBI? Is that like Alibaba? What is that? And Jenn even looks like, FBI? What? They all look like they've never heard about like even what the FBI is. And Eddie just goes, can you just stop talking? And he's like in this blanket because it must be cold outside. He has a blankie wrapped over him and he looks very peaceful. He's just like very zen. He's like, can you just please stop talking, please? Tamra, please. And Jenn says, Eddie, I hate this coming between me and you and our friendship. And then Tamra at this point just goes, I'm done, and gets up. And Katie's like, oh, shit. And Emily goes, ugh. Her face is like, well, I'm still drinking. And Tamra, you hear her go, this guy's a piece of shit. And she walks out like the side gate and trips, like does a little trip. And she's like, fuck, are you fucking kidding me? And that's where we pick up. It was a to be continued. So we are right where we left off last week. And we see Tamra, once again tripping, and she gets outside and she's like, I'm done. Get in the car. Let's go. And I was like, oh God, Tamra, you're not driving, are you? But she has like a driver. So she's like, let's go. Fuck. And she's dropping things on the street. Like she dropped her purse. And we cut back to Eddie, still very peaceful. He goes, it doesn't need to be like this. So it doesn't, it doesn't need to be like this. I'm super chill right now. Like he does not even look like his blood pressure got activated at all. He's very used to this kind of behavior. He's like, it doesn't. And Jenn goes, she's Tamra. That's what she does. Now Katie goes after Tamra, right? And Matt goes, oh, Katie always goes for the one, that's having the issue. And Katie goes up to the car that Tamra's in the back seat, opens it up. And she's like, girlfriend, what's going on? Why'd you leave? And Tamra's like, what? And she's like, well, I'm not going to put up with that guy. We cut back to the dinner party, and Ryan is sitting there in his puffer jacket with his arms crossed, was smiling, looking at Jenn going, mm-hmm. And Jenn kind of smiling back at him. And I don't know what this knowing look between them means. And I can't tell. And I will tell you, Ryan seems cool as a cucumber. And not cool as a cucumber in the way Eddie seems really calm. He seems like internally lit up, but also like, how do you describe it? You know what I'm saying? Like it just seemed like he might be good in these situations, if that makes sense. Like it feels like he's potentially been in high pressure situations before, and he knows it's best just to stay calm, deny, and just be as friendly as possible. But Tamra tells Katie, goes, yeah, knows he's a piece of shit. He knows it. Ask her about the FBI, Katie. And now there's a lawsuit that's going on by the FBI about illegal gambling. And Katie's like, zoinks, what? Shut up. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. I can see the driver in this shot. The driver is just there listening to all of this. The driver actually works for the FBI. But Katie, this is the first time she's hearing this. She's like, what? And Shane was like, yeah, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. He's a horrible human being. Okay, now on a talking head, Tamra goes, there's an account on Instagram that broke down everything. Now, Tamra mentioned this on So Bad It's Good last week. Now, this account is Giorgio Says, his TikTok account, but I believe Giorgio also has a podcast. I hope I'm not misspeaking, but go support Giorgio. This was like a deep dive into everything. That's amazing. And I always get excited for other podcasters or content creators that make their way on these shows. But like he did a deep dive, but Tamra like rattles it off. She's like, this creator, he was doing what was going on in Las Vegas with Ryan, things about his partner, his business partner. And we cut to Giorgio saying $595,000 was paid to Ryan and Ryan's company, Lion Time Inc. And when Ryan was asked where the money was coming from, he just simply couldn't remember. Allegedly, Giorgio says. So you heard what he said, $575,000 through Ryan's company, but Ryan said, I don't remember where that money went. So that is part of the issue. Now we went into the overall like court documents last Saturday's episode at the very end. Tamra continues, says, and also allegedly Ryan's partner's business address is Ryan's home address. Could be a coincidence. Office space is hard to get in the OC. Who knows? But Katie shuts the door and is like, she seems a little rattled. And she goes back into the dinner and Katie's like, Eddie, I think Tamra's ready to go. She's farting in the yesterday. It's time. Eddie, I think Tamra's ready to go. And I got to say, everybody is just so weirdly chill after this FBI accusation. They're all just like, yeah. And Eddie just goes, oh, okay. Okay, well, guess I got to go. And he stands up and he sighs. He goes, ah. And Katie's like, Eddie, it was really good to meet you. Really, thank you for coming over. And they hug. And he's like, we should get together soon. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, I would love that. Shakes Matt, Katie's husband's hand, like, hey, Eddie gives Matt a little hug as well. He leans down to hug Emily. Big hug for Shane. Shane gets like a double armed, like Shane, bring it in here, bro. No, we got a hug, brother. We are brothers, Shane. Like, I even think Shane was potentially a little shocked by the depth of this hug. Like, Eddie seems like potentially squeezing the life out of Shane. He's like, good to see you, Shane. I love you, man. And so that happens. And then he shakes Ryan's hand. So remember it started where Eddie would barely like acknowledge Ryan, shakes Ryan's hand and looks him directly in the eye. And then Ryan goes in for the hug again. You wouldn't have called this in a million years. Like, he's like, hey, bros. Like, Ryan's like, hey, come on, bring it in, bud. And Eddie, I don't even know what was going on in Eddie's mind at this point of like, fuck, I think I have to hug him because my wife brought up that FBI thing and I gotta kind of protect us. So I guess I'll do the hug. And Ryan seems really excited about the hug. He's like, yeah, all right, I got it. And Eddie goes, sorry, brother. Sorry, brother. And Eddie goes, oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, like basically like women, right? Women. Can't live with them. Can't live without them. You know what I'm talking about? So bizarre. Because I thought Eddie would have given him the cold shoulder again. But I just thought, what a lovely moment between two men. And Ryan said, like they're like, hey, let's get, and he's like, let's get past it. Yeah. And Ryan's like, appreciate it. And then Jenn and Eddie hug. So like everybody besides Tamra, like I wonder if Tamra, how she felt about this in seeing this episode of like, you fucking hug them? You hug them? And also I had to have Katie come get your ass? What? I do wonder if Tamra gets offended in these situations, but I think Eddie had to do what Eddie had to do and kind of like be super chill to potentially clean up a mess that wasn't meant to be made by Tamra. Because remember, she even said on last week's show that the FBI thing wasn't meant to be brought up. So all of a sudden it's introduced. And I think potentially, I'm just guessing, but Eddie might know the gravity of that being announced on television. So Eddie tells Jenn, goes, craziness. And Jenn goes, I know. And then Jenn points towards Tamra's car and goes, take care of that for me. Okay. Help me with that. Okay. Help me with that. And it's just point, help me with your woman. And Eddie goes, I will. May I interest you in any Vena CBD? I will. Jenn in a talking head goes, after how far Tamra and I have come, and we flash back to earlier in the season when both of these women are wearing Kyle Richards Kimosabi cowboy hats, where Tamra goes, I'm so happy that Ryan stepped up for you, Jenn. I'm so happy for you. And Jenn looking at Tamra going, I love you so much, Tamra. I love you so. And she's so genuine about it. And Jenn's like, I'm so grateful, Tamra. You have no idea. And Tamra looking up at the sky with little tears in her eyes, just going, yeah. So Jenn continuing in the talking head going, I would love to sit here and say I'm blindsided by this behavior, but it was a matter of time. Back in the scene, Katie goes, I'm sorry, Jenn. I'm sorry. And Jenn goes, it was short-lived, unfortunately. Back in the talking head, Jenn goes, it's hard because I love Eddie. This Jenn-Eddie relationship, I don't mean like anything tawdry happened at all, but it is interesting how much respect Jenn seems to have for Eddie. And that, you think about like they got to know each other through their intense workouts at Cut Fitness. And you build those, I guess, bond. I've never built a bond at a gym in my life. Are you kidding me? I keep my head fucking down. If I make eye contact with people, like I immediately like do the sign of the cross. Like I'm not looking for any, I just want to mind my business and just get out of there. I'm not looking to form any sort of friendships at a gym, but like, good looking in shape people, they're all about like, hey, let's get to know each other. So it seems like they had this tight bond. She says, I respect Eddie tremendously, but Tamra can't help herself. She's not loyal to anyone. Yeah, no, she is. She's loyal to the show. Real Housewives of Orange County. But you're right. She's not loyal to anyone else. If anyone steps sideways, she will be the first to call it out, right? We can all agree on that. But Jenn says she's certainly not loyal to me. And we see Eddie like walk sullenly to the car. Oh my God. This is the fucking footage I want. I want the awkward ride home between Eddie and Tamra. Why didn't you give us this? This is why all vehicles shooting any Real Housewives related content should come with a GoPro. I don't care what it is, but I need to see it. We need on the way there and on the way back. That is game for filming as well. So we go back to this dinner and Katie is telling the other guys, she's like, Tamra's very upset. And Jen's like, what did she say? By the way, Shane is still standing up. Shane, you can feel like, I'm real rattled about tonight. Can we go, Emily? Emily's sitting down. And Katie goes, well, she just said, ask him about the FBI. And there's like, intense music. Zong. Silence. And there's a pause. And Ryan, completely chill, turns to Jen and goes, gosh, that's so interesting. Yeah. Gosh, it's like, gosh, wow. Huh. That's so interesting. Wow. Well, he goes, one of my closest friends is going through something and has been since September. Like, kind of like, could it be that? And then he looks at Jen and he goes, I mean, she must be talking about Matt, right? And Jen isn't saying anything. And Ryan just goes, yeah. Like really steering the bus right now. And if you freeze frame on his face, which I do because I am a sick person, it does look like there is tension there, but it's like enveloped in this overall calm. And I'm just saying, you got to watch that kind of behavior. And then Emily, because Emily knew about this as well. And Emily goes, well, do you host people in Vegas? Which is a very interesting using that phrase, host. Do you host people in Vegas? And Ryan's like, well, Matt's one of my closest friends. I go with him to Vegas often. And Emily's like, okay. And then Ryan goes, but I don't know about hosts. I've never hosted anything. I mean, you'd be like, host American Idol? Host so bad it's good? What do you mean, like host? And then Emily goes, well, I did. She goes, I didn't know. Isn't that what Matt was doing? Is that what he was doing then? And Ryan goes, no. And Emily goes, oh, I thought he was hosting big timers in Vegas, which I think she means like, big gamblers, right? And Emily's like, and then that's how he got in trouble, right? That's what I hear. Like they were using illegal money or something. And Ryan's like, no, not at all. Not at all. And then Emily goes, well, then why the FBI? And Ryan, this really does read like he's thinking quick on his feet. He's like, Matt's a pro. Matt's a pro. And he goes, that's a pro. He goes, Matt's a pro. Excuse me. He's a professional gambler. That's it. And also has a bookie business. Oh, maybe it's the bookie business. Oh, he also has a bookie business. And then Ryan continues, and him and his family are going through some tough times. I'm not even able to talk about it. I mean, that's his situation. And Emily goes, no, I know. I'm sure. It's super, and Ryan's like, yeah, it's super tough for him. And Emily's like, oh, I thought you guys said it was in Vegas and Vegas. And Ryan's like, no, California. No. Gosh, no. And Emily goes, well, I don't know. I would just always see you guys together going to Vegas and stuff. And Ryan's like, no, they're great. And looks at Jen again. No, they're great friends of ours. Great friends of ours. Emily in a talking head goes, okay, I've heard the rumors about Ryan and the FBI and some partner that he's involved in being investigated by the FBI. I don't know details. I don't know if it's true. Emily in the scene goes, so you would just go with them to Vegas? And he's like, yep. And Emily goes, oh, okay. Shane's standing this entire time. Now remember, Shane's a lawyer. Emily's been a lawyer. So we got two legal minds in the building right now. And this is another thing where I just want to know Shane's thoughts in this because Emily is being a little direct. I mean, she's trying to wiggle her way into some information, but I would love to hear, like, if Shane's like pinching Emily in the back, like, stop it. Please. Can we go? Please. And Ryan says, we have the fruits of just going with our friends. I think he meant like we get to go to Vegas because of the fruit, like because of the generosity of our friends. And he's like, we were fortunate to enjoy those fruits. He landed the plane. It got there. And Emily says, Ryan goes to Vegas like it's his job. His career is going to Vegas. I don't know what else there is to do in Vegas besides gamble, go to shows, drink. Oh, she says prostitution. Dude, this is how dumb I am. I feel like I forget things. I didn't realize, or I forgot that prostitution is legal in Vegas. Because I remember, like, what was it, like the Bunny Ranch that Lamar Odom had his stroke at, and I knew like certain, like, those places were legal, but I didn't realize all of Vegas is that prostitution was legal. And I don't, but isn't that so weird about society? Is that it's illegal everywhere else, but Vegas, yeah, we're cool. Yeah, why not? Yeah, like, it's legal to kill somebody in Vegas. Like, where are we gonna go next? But hats off, legal. It should be legal everywhere. Anyways, Emily is being very shady in the talking head, and I love it. I love it because she's calling out something necessary in a way that Tamra can't, but also asking the questions instead of just getting mad and storming off. So it's more effective through Emily. Katie in the party goes, "Hey, I'm sorry how the night, you know." And Emily goes, "It's not your fault. It's Ryan's fault." And Ryan's laughing. And Jenn is kind of smiling, like, "Can I laugh? Can I laugh at that?" And Ryan's like, "Yeah, it's my fault." And Katie goes, "What a fucking night." And then we see the clouds parting as daylight approaches Orange County. And I needed way more of that dinner scene. We have Heather Dubrow walking up to Backyard Expressions. I love all the little stores, all the little knickknack stores. Like, I'm that guy that grew up, like, we just go to Walmart or like Target or Kmart. Remember Kmart when that existed? Like, all these specialty stores. Like, the only specialty stores I've been in are like record stores or comic book stores. But like, there's a specialty store for everything in the OC. You need some kind of special thing for your fucking outside? We got a store for it. So Heather walks in, and I wonder if people, when they watch Heather Dubrow walk in, they're like, "We got a big spender coming in. Let's be on the. We got a big spender. Let's do it. Let's greet her at the door." So the lady's like, "Hi, welcome to the Backyard Expressions." And Heather's like, "Oh, I'm meeting a friend." Like, this isn't a restaurant. This is a store. What, meeting a friend? Anyways, Liz like, "Okay, wonderful." We see grills, we see like backyard, like furniture sets. And the lady's like, "Are you looking for anything particular?" And Heather's like, "For you to mind your own GD business." No, she didn't say that. Heather goes, "I guess we're looking for outdoor expressions." They both share a laugh. And then Shannon Beador walks in, and Heather goes, "There's the birthday girl." Oh, and gives Shannon a big hug. Heather is being very happy with Shannon. It's like, "Oh my God, Shannon, happy birthday." And gives her one of those rocking hugs. And Shannon goes, "Thank you. Thank you." And kind of like the quiet chin, "Thank you." And Heather goes, "How do you feel?" Come on. She goes, "Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, dude. This is a new decade." And Shannon's like rubbing her forehead. She's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And Heather's like, "This is good. This is good." Shannon and I are talking. And I goes, "It's my 60th birthday. But birthdays have never been a big day for me. I just don't like to focus on me. I'm uncomfortable with it." Which, isn't it wild? Like, I truly believe she means that, but also that she wound up on a show for 10 seasons and is now doing a spinoff. Like, I do believe she's uncomfortable with certain aspects of this because I think she's a very nervous person. But it's like, but you wound up having to be a very public persona. So now Katie walks in. Everybody's meeting at Backyard Expressions. I mean, like, the staff should be like, "Okay, 3 people now. It's getting to be a party. What is this? Like, would it be funny if they threw Shannon's 60th birthday at Backyard Expressions?" Heather's like, "Yeah, we didn't want to run out of place. Can we have the party in your little store here?" Heather is like, "Okay, we need to get you a crown. You need a crown for your birthday." And Shannon's like, "Okay, let's just keep emphasizing the big. And Heather's like, "Big birthday." So Shannon in the talking head goes, "Well, so singing in public in the store, I appreciate the kindness, but it's not necessary." Back in the scene, Heather's like, "Okay, so what are we looking for? What are we looking for?" Shannon's like, "In my front patio, I have a space for a sofa." And they're looking at it all. All right, guys, I could give two shits about I mean, I'm bored in real life when I have to do things like this, and I even kind of zone out when I'm watching a scene just set in this area because I don't have a backyard. I could care less about what you put on your patios or your backyard, but I'm very happy you guys have patios and backyard if you do. Anyway, Shannon's like, I can't do this because I have spiders in my backyard, and Heather's like, oh, okay. Like Shannon's always like bringing something down. Like, we have poisonous tarantulas in the backyard, so we can't do something like that. And it's, oh, my bad. Katie says she doesn't like ivy on ladders because it looks like rat ladders. And Shannon goes, it is rat ladders. They are. And then Shannon's like, we said the same thing at the same time. Jinx. Heather, here is, you guys. This thing is hideous. They show, sorry if you bought it. They show like 2 red, white, and blue American flag chairs and like a blue sofa to match with like a flag star pillow. And this looks so janky and so tacky. And Heather goes, this looks like you. Do you like this one? Guys, you got to see a picture of this. It is just 2 sad looking American flag chairs. And Shannon goes, none of that matches my place. No, by the way, she goes, none of that matches my place. The vocal range on Shannon Beador, she can go, my place. So good. So Shannon is being very difficult. She keeps saying, no, I like that, kind of, no. And Katie's like, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. Finally, they sit down in one of the love seats at this actual working store. Yeah, let's do a scene here. Yeah, make yourself comfortable. So they sit down. This is such a Housewives trope, too. They go to a store. They do the little bit where they're shopping, and then it's time to talk turkey. Let's get some information coming out from these ladies. And Katie goes over to Shannon and goes, hey, how was your show? First of all, how was Shannon and Vicki live? And she's like, I haven't even seen you guys. And Heather goes, yeah, how was the show? Every line Heather Dubrow has said this episode so far to Shannon has been with this huge smile on her face. And I don't know if this is like a birthday smile thing, like Shannon gets birthday smiles. I'm not going to ever like be downtrodden around Shannon. It's all positive. And Heather goes, I haven't even seen your show. What was it? And Shannon's like, well, first of all, we sold out both shows. And Heather goes, wow. And she's like, I saw that on your Instagram. And we flash back to Shannon and Vicki live. We hear Doug Butin go, Shannon Beador and Vicki Gunvalson. And we see a crowd go roar. Everybody's smiling. And Shannon asked the ladies, well, how was the end of the Sonoma trip? And Katie's like, oh, it was good. Jen's house became like a shitstorm. And Katie goes, something happened with Alexis. She wouldn't tell us what it was. And Heather's just looking concerned. And Shannon goes, oh, because they did their PR stunts. John gave People magazine the lawsuit. And I'm like, what do I do? This isn't about money. And Heather's like, no, he wants the non-disparagement. And Shannon's like, it's about him trashing me. And then we flash back to earlier episode when Shannon is telling Emily and Gina, he won't agree to the non-disparagement clause. And Gina's like, they're going after you, Shannon. They're going after you. Heather in this scene goes, what I assume he's thinking is, well, what happens if I sign a non-disparagement and then she shit talks me and on the show the whole season? And Katie's like, well, that's how he's thinking according to Alexis. But also it can work both ways. Like, if he signed a non-disparagement clause, he could have asked Shannon to sign a non-disparagement clause as well. Like, couldn't we have thrown that as a possible option? And Katie's like, John wants to respond to the allegations when all of this comes out. And Shannon's smiling. It's your 60th birthday. She's like, it's unbelievable to me. In a talking head, Shannon goes, the sole purpose of John and Alexis putting this lawsuit in the hands of the public is to hurt me and try to make me look bad. In the scene, she goes, I'm tired of talking about him. I just want to move on with my life. And Heather goes, I get it, girl. I get it. In a talking head, Shannon goes, and by the way, when he broke up with me, he had a statement prepared for People magazine as well. Who do you think you are? You need to tell the world? I mean, that part is wild because John Janssen wasn't dating Alexis at that time, and John Janssen made a statement. Did we ever need a statement from John Janssen? We're like, uh-oh, Shannon and John broke up. Well, I think Shannon's okay, but have we gotten a statement from John yet? We've got to keep our ear to the presses until a statement has been released, or I will not have any fun this weekend. So now Katie continues with more information. She says, anyways, I had Tamra, Eddie, Jenn, Ryan, Shane, Emily at my house for dinner. And Heather looks at Shannon like, we both weren't invited. And Katie goes, it was interesting. It was interesting. And Shannon goes, why? Why? And Katie goes, it got heated. And then all of a sudden we cut from that scene. They do like this, 6 boxes. We see a surfer, a bird, like some rocks, some houses. I'm loving these OC editors that are just like trying new little things. It looks like some form of Pinterest board right here. So we go from that, and all of a sudden we are at Gina's condo, Gina's townhouse, and her friend Emily, her good friend Emily, has come to visit Gina. So Gina is showing Emily the new additions she's made to the townhouse ever since Travis has left. And we go into her son's bedroom. It's awesome. It's like all dark. It's like a New York skyline. It's like a baller room. So like, yeah, you do see the New York skyline on one of the walls. This is a badass room. And now in the other 2 kids' room, there's like these elevated like bunk bed areas, and then underneath are like little, I think, desk areas. These are bad. And then this one has a stripper pole right down it's a fire pole. They have a fire pole so they can like swing down from their bed. And the son demonstrates it, and Emily's like, wow, look at that. And then we have a little funny bit where Gina goes down and you just hear the pole like, and then Emily decides to try it. And it's what it is. I mean, it's like a funny comedy bit. Gina says, I don't even think I would be worthy of a stripper name because that shit is too much work. Yeah. Gina says that she's winded from coming down the stripper pole. And then the producer says, Gina, your stripper name should be Lazy Susan. And Gina laughs. She's like, ooh, no, because my mom's name is Susan. No. Lazy Susan. Welcome to the stage, Lazy Susan. Gentlemen, get your dollars out. Here she comes, Lazy Susan. So Gina sits down with Emily and goes, oh my God, I saw Tamra and she said that you all went to Katie's or whatever with the guys. And Emily's like, oh my God, that was a shit show. And Tamra is relaying the story to Gina and is like, hey, yeah, I said, let's talk about the elephant in the room. And I said, you went on a podcast, Ryan, and you talked badly about my gem. You talked badly about my husband. And then I called him a little bitch. And Gina's like, oh, and we flash back to Tamra going, such a little bitch. Emily tells Gina, Tamra was just all out of sorts. I like it. Tamra just had a bad night. Tamra was just all out of sorts. And Gina's like, she can't keep doing this. She can't keep doing this. Where it's like, because you had 3 martinis, you can say things that are awful. I mean, that's a very similar conversation that Tamra likes to have in regards to Shannon's behavior. But when you say to Tamra kind of just throws it off. Of, no, I just drink on the show. That's it. Which I kind of do believe her, but you know. Anyways, we go back to the exotic furniture store, and Katie is still telling the story to Heather and Shannon. And Katie's like, we're sitting at dinner, and Tamra, she started calling Ryan a little bitch. And Jenn started screaming at Tamra. And Heather's like, they all have a long history. But sometimes not everyone has to be friends. I think it's okay. You know, they need to not be together. And she was like, I'll be honest with you. When I invited you to the tea, Katie, on the group text, and we flash back to Katie's dinner in a scene that we didn't see in previous episode, where Katie's reading from her phone saying, Shannon texted all of us. She said, hello, ladies. In light of me turning 60, I thought it'd be fun to do something age appropriate and invite you to tea on Tuesday. And everybody like, ooh, even Ryan in the scene goes, ooh. Shannon tells the ladies, Tamra said, I can't make it. And Katie's like, that was right after my house. So Tamra left that place, got in the car, was all pissed, and then got that text from Tamra. Was like, fuck no, I ain't going. And Shannon's like, oh, right after she left. Katie's like, she was very emotional. I just think just heightened, We go over to Gina and Emily again, and Gina's like, so tomorrow we have Shannon's party, and I feel like it's going to be really uncomfortable. And now I'm getting pissed that she's like treating me the way she's treating me. And we show text messages between Gina and Heather. And Gina says, hi, hope you're doing okay. Felt the best thing was to leave so it didn't get worse. But love you both. Feels weird not to text, so just doing it. And then Heather responds, I'm incredibly upset on so many levels. We will talk on Monday or Tuesday, I guess. And Emily's like, wait, this is all because we left together? And she's like, yeah, because I chose to get you out of a bad situation. And we flash back to that night where Heather is screaming, I didn't do anything to you, Emily. And I was like, when I started to say what I wanted to say, you were pissed. No, Emily, you kept going, Heather says. And then Alexis goes, yeah, no, Heather's right. And, Emily's like, I didn't ask you. Shut the fuck up. And now Alexis is like, oh. And we see Gina leaving. And of course, Emily's screaming like, oh, fuck John Janssen some more, right? Back in this scene, Gina's like, it wasn't like I was fuck you, Heather, as I was leaving. I'm in trouble because one friend took your side. Now we're back at the furniture place with Heather. And Heather goes, what side were you on, Katie? Katie's thinking hard, trying to weigh all these options of what will play best for her to get a second season. And Katie says, I can see how she wants to be heard, right? But I can see how the night got away from her. And Heather goes, I was listening to her. She got aggressive with me. And everybody's like, whew. Emily says, she told Tamra that I attacked her. I didn't fucking attack her, Gina. When I walked up and I was crying and I said, why don't we just sit down as friends and just talk this out? But she put her finger in my face and said no. We go back to Shannon, and Shannon's like, well, how did you leave it with her, Heather? Heather goes, terribly. Katie's like, have you talked to her? No, I haven't talked to her at all. But you saw her, Katie, right? And Katie's like, correct. And she got emotional. And she said, I just wanted her to hear me. And we flash back to Katie's dinner and Emily going, I wanted her to see me as a size 6 and not a size 12. And she remembers she teared up. She tears up every time she talks about her body image issues. And I totally understand that. And we'll get into this in a second when she actually has the conversation with Heather, because I have some thoughts on it. But Katie in that moment saying, yeah, it's hurtful. It's hurtful. Katie tells Heather, Dubrow, she said, I feel like I've worked so hard and it's like she still sees me as the big girl. Heather and I talking here goes, wait a minute. So Emily has just talked to everyone about this, but I would have loved to have had the opportunity to talk to her and made her feel better about this. I think she's gorgeous. Do you, Heather? Do you? I mean, Heather had that talking head a couple weeks ago after this where she was like, well, Emily definitely didn't fit in it. Like, it was tight. It was a tight squeeze. Like, I always wonder what people's honest thoughts are. And I think that's the kind of things that Emily probably thinks too. Are these people actually being honest with me? And also Heather Dubrow in this talking head cracks me up of like, you're just telling everybody about this? Yes, it is called Real Housewives of Orange County. This is the way they play the game. It's how they've always done it. Yeah, you're going to be the last to know. Of course, we need scenes with each individual before you know about the issue. That's how this works. So don't be shocked about it. You know exactly what's going on. And Heather's like, what did I say? What did I do to make you feel that way? Emily in the scene with Gina goes, all I needed from Heather was for her to actually be a human and understand that that is something that psychologically triggered for me because of everything I've had to deal with in the past, because of every fucking name I've been called. In a talking head, Emily goes, just being public and putting myself out there, the constant commentary on my body, it's hurtful. And sometimes it just messes with me. Especially when people comment negative things where I'm like, I post something and I'm like, oh, I look good. I see some muscle tone there. And then people are like, you need to keep working out. And they post like one of Emily's Instagram posts and you see somebody comment, she really needs to up her Ozempic shots. I mean, Guys, we're better than this. Social media has brought out sometimes the worst in us. It gives you this invisibility cloak that you think you're wearing, where you are encouraged to say the gnarliest shit about people. Like, you can comment on people's, like, the way they actually act or behave in a situation, but when you start bringing, like, looks, especially when you know that this person has an issue with it, you're aware it's a literal storyline on the show, multiple seasons. Like, guys, get the kids out of the car or wherever you're listening to as a family. I just want them out of the room for this next part. Are they gone? Okay. I mean, fuck off. Honestly, fuck off. What the fuck is wrong with fucking people? I'm sorry to have a potty mouth right now. You know, thankfully my mom's not here. She washed my mouth out with soap, but fuck off. What the fuck is wrong with fucking people sometimes? Do you not use your fucking head? Or is your life so miserable that you want to take it out on this comment to hope to get a couple likes on Instagram from people that are just as snarky as you? I fucking love snark. What I don't love is like when people attack bodies, looks. I've done it myself in the past. And every time I have done it, it's been a shameful moment in retrospect. And it's something that I've learned from, but it fucking sucks and it fucking hurts. It hurts because not only does the comment itself hurt because of how you feel about yourself, but then if you are an empathetic person, you start to think about what that person is going through that made them leave that comment and what their life must be like and how the people in their life must feel about them being around somebody. And are they aware that one of their friends, their wife, their husband, boyfriend, girlfriend is a complete raving lunatic that goes on Instagram and makes fun of other people's weight? This isn't even somebody else posting a meme of Emily. This is Emily's actual account. It's on Emily's page. I mean, if you want to talk shit about Emily, make your own post. Or like go find a meme of Emily that somebody else has posted and leave the nasty comment out. You put that on her page. I feel like that, guys, come on. That's an obvious, like, we shouldn't be doing that. You guys agree with me? Or is it like, oh, it's fair game. Let's all just destroy each other's complete confidence, like ways they feel about themselves. I mean, that is the dangerous part of social media. Now, I do want to share this, and I was kind of debating sharing this, but I try to personalize things when I can. To say like, hey, I totally can understand what Emily goes through. And I wanted to give an example. So this is wild. And you got to understand, I want to say that. And part of me, like, there's part of me that kind of finds it hurtful, but also kind of finds it funny because my brain is broken. So even if it's like something negative or weird about me, I'm going to like, well, it's kind of funny. It's like a good little dig or something. But sometimes it hits you in a wrong day and you're like, oh man, that really is a horrible thing to read. So I do that Jeff Lewis show. I was on this past Wednesday with Tom, Arnold, Monica, Casey, Kristen Takeman, and we had to do this picture every week with each other, and they post it on the social medias. And I don't really think too much about it. I roll out of bed. I put on whatever pants fit that day. And I've always got I've said this for many years now. I should take the way I look a lot more seriously, but it's hard, man. And as you get older, like I've fluctuated in weight my whole life, but I am really, I feel like at the heaviest I've ever been right now, even with trying to work out and things just slow down. But we post this and I'm always just like, I'm never like, oh, hot damn, I'm looking good. Like I never see the picture and be like, yeah, it's always awkward, but I just don't like pictures being taken of myself anyways. I always look goofy in them. But this person, I'm not going to say their name because, they might want the attention, but this person, we're all tagged in this post. All of us, goes, Ryan Bailey is not shaped like a man, ... I can't explain it. And I'm like, well, I think you kind of just did. It feels like you did explain it. You explained it right there, didn't you? You kind of said that. And I've always been open with you guys, dude. I feel like I'm a pear-shaped dude. I have gigantic legs. I got love handles. I got a sexy as hell face. I mean, we all know, great voice, huge dog, flat ass. I've got all the key ingredients to a real man. But also, what does it take for somebody to actually write that and know that other person is probably going to see it? That to me is psychotic. That's Jesus jugs. That's like because you got to understand, like that shit it hurts because I've been made fun of for like body things like my entire life since I was a little kid. So I'm already hyper aware of it, like Emily. That's why I always, but I will say, I hope this is the last season Emily talks about this. I hope she, because I want her to not, I want her to be so confident, or at least it's kind of difficult. Like I feel like we are aware of this situation and she will always battle this. But I think there are so many other things that are fascinating about Emily and other storylines she can be involved where I don't want this to be a storyline anymore because almost it's too personal. And if you haven't gone through it, you don't really understand it. So you're going to take pot shots then from this is boring. Enough of this shit. I'm tired of hearing this. And, I think Emily doesn't need that. So I hope this is the last of this. She'll always battle with it inside, but I hope this is the last season of a storyline involving this for Emily, because I just don't want her to take pot shots from people about it. But yeah, that got left this week. I always get like something and I'm like, dude, that's why, my feelings about my own body and my own way I look has stopped me from doing so many things. Like there was a time where I barely left my house like that. I mean, and there are certain things that like you try to like do little things, but as you get older, just everything even falls apart even more. And the interesting thing is I'm a guy saying this, and guys usually don't really think of like girls suffer the major brunt of this kind of behavior of people commenting on their bodies, their looks, like their fading looks, like age. They get it. Like 99.9%, it's always directed towards a woman. I am a unicorn, an outlier of, I kind of feel similarly when I hear women talk about it. I feel the same sometimes about my body. So I guess, good male representation, but it fucking hurts, you guys. It hurts. And at the same time, I'm like, well, that's kind of snarky. And I'm like, yeah, I do have a weird shaped looking body. Yeah, yeah. But I was trying to like laugh at it, but overall, I was just like, oh, that's a really hurtful thing to say. And then it also scared me that like, wow, somebody actually thought I should write this and hit send. What a weirdo. Like I'm a weirdo talking about it, but like, what a weirdo. I got so sad and sad about this person. I was like, oh, this is so weird that somebody feels like that's okay to do. I kind of agree with them about the comment. I'm like, yeah, I probably don't have the typical man's body, but regardless, Emily Simpson hive, rise up. But Emily's saying like, listen, damn, man, I can't win with this. Emily tells Gina, honestly, I'm not interested in having any conversation with her because then it's on her terms again. We go to the scene with Heather, and Heather goes, I am a very good listener to Shannon and Katie. And I really want to sit down with Emily one-on-one, and I want to know what's going on. But if you want to come after me with something that you're saying I did to you, it's really hard for me to answer back. Heather, it doesn't have to be this deep. Just listen to her. Doesn't have to be this deep. Does not have to be this deep. Go back to the Emily. Also, guys, can we just see the full scene? I don't need cutting back to this, cutting back to that. Just show me the scene. We're all adults here. I'm not like, woo, these edits, boom, boom, boom. It's too much. Show me the full fucking scene and I'll put it together in my head. Sorry, I'm activated because of that past comment. Emily goes, she's got to come back. Oh, Gina says, she's got to come back down to earth a little, Heather. She got to come back down. She's got to come back from the Terry Dubrow Man in the Moon and come back to earth a little bit, right? That hair up there is real thin. It's starting to cut off the circulation to her brain. Gina's going to regret that comment at the reunion, I bet. Because you can tell, even that scene last week with Terry and Heather, where Heather's like, do not chastise me. Camera right out there you. And he's like, well, I just do not like Heather cares how she is presented on television. So, these things really affect her. When she sees shit like this, you can tell it eats at her, right? Okay. So we go to commercial. We come back. We are now in a scene. See the beginning and the end were these kind of like, wow, really intense. And then the middle was like this hodgepodge. It was like a salad bar where it's all these little different things. And I don't necessarily know how they fit together. And I almost kind of thought, oh, are they just jamming in things that they filmed throughout the season because they need to air it? And this is a great example of a scene where I'm like, to me, was kind of out of nowhere in just regards to this season. We do know Emily Simpson has done a lot of great work, volunteer work, for people that are, coming out of prison, wrongly imprisoned, all of this stuff, which I think is great. But I kind of wasn't expecting the scene. We were at this place called the Tailor Shop at Bespoke, and we see a gentleman, Jason, who works at the store. And Emily's like, thank you for having me here today. Anthony is going to come in today to shop for a new suit. And the guy's like, that's awesome. And then Anthony walks in. We've never met Anthony before. And Emily's like, I want to hug Anthony. Come on in. Come on in. Okay. Emily says, even though I'm not practicing law right now because I'm raising my children and Shane, I do love being involved with the Innocence Center because it gives me a way to still be involved in the legal world, but to also do a little bit for humanity and to give back. The guy's like, Anthony, what do you need in your closet right now? And Anthony's like, I have one suit in my closet and blue sounds really good. And the guy's like, yeah, blue goes with everything. Blue. And plus you can use the coat for a sports coat as well. And Anthony's like, okay, yeah, thanks. So this guy's going to go pick some fabrics for Anthony. And Emily talks to Anthony now and goes, hey, my intent in meeting with you is that I can help newly exonerate people assimilate back into life easier. She continues in a talking head, being involved in the Innocence Center just really brings to light how messed up our justice system is. I like that Emily Simpson is like Kim Kardashian has broken the glass ceiling in terms of mega wealthy people like working at that federal judicial level and trying to free people that she believes are innocent. In fact, Kim Kardashian, I talked about this yesterday on the show with the Menendez brothers, that they're looking at potentially opening or reopening the case to potentially resentence them or even set them free. And Kim Kardashian, right after I did that Real Housewives of Salt Lake City recap, put out a statement to TMZ saying they do not deserve to be in prison. And I'm like, I love when Kim Kardashian lays down her law. Kim Justice. And also it's very interesting just in how Hollyweird works is that Kim is on the new Ryan Murphy show. Ryan Murphy just did Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. And so it all ties in. And, in retrospect, Ryan Murphy, does deserve maybe a possible thank you from the Menendez brothers because Kim now is like tweeting and posting and giving interviews about it. Which I bet you $1,000, you guys, not all of you, but like one of you, I bet one of you $1,000 that the Menendez brothers at some point will be on the Kardashians. I believe it with everything in my bones. Do not be shocked when it happens because it's going to happen. But Emily is like a couple steps down from Kim. Like Emily's working at a state level. You know what I'm saying? Like Kim's up here, but I think Emily could get up to the Kim level if she wanted. Emily continues, there are so many people in prison and they're wrongfully there. And when I sit down and talk with exonerated persons, their stories are so crazy that you actually think to yourself, how did they fall through the cracks? She tells Anthony, I read your case and I know the charge was attempted murder and it was mayhem. The evening that the event happened, Anthony, there were like 3 people hanging out. And then someone said something about like a car outside. And then someone left to go out, take the car. And that's when they were shot, right? And then he's like, yep. And Emily's like, but that was not you. And then he's like, no. He goes, I remember thinking my mom is going to fix this, right? Because I'm 15 years old. And so I'm thinking my mom's going to fix this. Emily says, this just goes to show you how decrepit the justice system is, right? First of all, there's a lack of expertise when it comes to public defenders sometimes. And also the problem is with juries actually listening and actually asking, is this enough evidence to convict someone of a crime? Because a lot of times it's not, she says. I mean, think about that. Do you guys ever like lay down and think about this? Is how crazy it is. Like I've not ever been picked for a jury, but I've, been there and have not gotten picked, just like everything else in my life. But you do wonder of like, listen, I know you guys, you're the smartest people I know, right? But there's a lot of people out there, dum-dums, complete fucking idiots, right? You know some of them. They might even live with you. They're dummies. And you're like, you served on a jury. You don't even understand basic math. How is that you don't even understand English and you're English. What are you talking about? You're on a jury and you're just like, oh my God, could you imagine you're like a crime you truly did commit. And then you got a bunch of dum-dums in the jury box going like, well, the prosecution, they put on a great, I don't even know. Sorry, that's the prosecution. They got a pretty good case. I want to get home for dinner. I mean, that's scary to hell to think about. Scary as hell. And think about that also, what Anthony said, 15 years old, I think my mom's going to fix this because, like that's what we did when you're kids. If you were lucky enough to have this, like a good family, that you kind of thought, well, my parents will help me out of this jam. I mean, think about how scary that is. And then all of a sudden you're in jail. But also I do want to acknowledge what an extremely hard pivot we took with this scene. We're talking about Heather Dubrow and Emily and John and Alexis. And all of a sudden it's like, this man was wrongly accused of murder. I'm like, it's jarring. You're like, oh God, is this Orange County still? Like, it's good to have these real things, but I just sometimes want them better wove. I'm on no dumb dirt. I want them better wove into the story. I don't want to all of a sudden be like in like John Janssen Alexis mode, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, the Innocent Center? Okay, yeah. What do I have to sign? Let's do this. But I do think overall, if you take the scene away from the overall storyline, its heart is such in a good place. Emily says to the guy, I know the actual perpetrator was your half brother. And Anthony's like, correct. And I was like, was he in prison at the time? And Anthony's like, he had his own trial at the same time that I did. And Emily's like, yeah, but for something different. Yeah. Emily said, I read that he didn't want to come forward and say that he was the actual perpetrator in your case because he knew that you didn't do it. So he thought you would just get acquitted. So he took the fall for it, but the half brother thought he would be acquitted. And then for some reason, the shop owner like listening, and the shop owner was like, yep, I'm following you. So he thought the other person thought did it. Okay. Yeah. I like Emily's now doing a full scene where he's like, yeah, he spent 18 years in prison. And then the shop guy's like, how do you feel now, Anthony? And then it's like, I feel blessed. I feel happy. I'm healthy. And the clerk's like, one day at a time, one day at a time, brother. Let's get you in a suit, buddy. Let's get you looking spiffy. It is. I mean, imagine that. That's where it almost kind of brings you down because you're so locked in to these women fighting about certain petty things. And you see like somebody that has lost a good deal of their life to a false accusation. And I'm sorry, it takes the fun away from hating Alexis Bellino and John Janssen. It just does. I don't make the rules. Anyways, Emily's like, do you want to look at some fabrics, Anthony? And so we see the guy trying on some things, and Emily's like, we need more checks and balances between prosecutors and police, and being involved with the Innocent Center has really opened my eyes to that. And so if I can bring awareness to anyone out there, then I'm doing a service. And I will say she is truly doing a service because I feel now like I'm doing a service by watching Emily do a service. But in all seriousness, it does make you think about this and potentially go, I want to look into this. I want to see donate to a good cause. Is this a good cause? How do we help people that are truly in need, that we can truly prove that they are innocent? So it's a very overall nice scene, right? I wonder, know what I would love is if this guy Anthony comes back for the rest of the season. Like he's just invited to all the dinners now. He's like, I'm wearing my new suit. They're like, thank you for coming to the reunion, Anthony. Okay, we cut to a new scene, and it's with Katie and her family. So Katie, her daughter, Matt, and her little boy, her little son. And they are at, they're like this, I think what is Korean barbecue, right? The place looked amazing. And so it's called Baekjeong. Baekjeong. I'm sure you guys need to write that down. I'm like, hey guys, write this down. Baek. So it's Korean barbecue, right? And I think I'm going to take my nephew and my dad to Korean barbecue this weekend, hopefully, when they come in town. So I'll be excited about that. Oh. Anyways, Katie is like, oh, they have Korean phrases to her daughter. And her daughter's like, you want to practice these, Mom? And they're going through Korean phrases. And, Katie's talking about all of the words she does know. The daughter seems to know way more than Katie. Katie says Kylie taught herself Korean, and I'll say, oh, I'll have the da-da-da, and I'll pronounce it. And she'll be like, that's embarrassing, Mom. And she'll re-say it for me. And now we have the little boy reading the menu, and Katie is going, oh, say hello. Anyang Aseho, Gamsa Habanida. And Katie's like, the only phrase I know is Somnema, which means fuck your mom. That's all I know. That's all I know. And Katie goes, so I yell that in traffic or something. So I don't yell curse words in front of Bandit. So they place a big old order of meat, very cute, a lot of brisket. And I mean, God, I'm starting to get hungry just thinking about this scene after the Innocence Project scene. So Katie says that she wishes she had been introduced into Korean culture herself a lot earlier. She says she loves that Jenn talks to Jenn Pedranti. You know, she has an adopted son. She said, I love that Jenn talks to her son about his roots. And Jenn says, we talk about adoption. We talk about his birth mom. And Katie's like, I never had that. That's amazing she does that. So the food gets delivered and it looks really good. I will say I don't love kimchi. And I know that is probably, that's a hot take. That is something I'm going to get canceled for. It's not my favorite. I love Korean barbecue, but kimchi for some reason. Anyways, Katie is saying that she is going overseas and she is going to meet her birth mother. She said, we're obviously going to be sightseeing, but we're all going to be there and we're going to try to find. And then she asked her son, how do you say grandma? And Katie and I talking, and says, when you're adopted, your life is this puzzle and the bottom right corner is missing. And when I go back, I feel like that moving that puzzle piece to finish the puzzle, because then I'll feel whole. She tells the family, the city that I was born in is like southwest of Seoul. And her son is like, you're going to find your birth mother? And Katie's like, I hope so. And then the boy goes, what's your real name? And Katie goes, Young Hwa. That's my real name. And the little boy is like, what? Young Hwa is your real name? And then the little boy goes, I love you, Young Hwa. I love you, Young Hwa. And it's so, and like gives her a little hug and a kiss. Oh, that little kid's a star. I love that. It was so wholesome. And now we're going to get back to women fighting. So we come back from commercial. We're doing the normal housewives getting ready. Jeana can't find anything to wear, which probably happens every day for Jeana potentially. And then we go over from there. We go to Emily's house, and Emily is showing her dog Togo the gift that she has gotten for Shannon Beador for her 60th birthday. And remember when Emily took those boudoir photos for Shane's birthday earlier in the season, and Shannon went with Emily? We see that Shannon has a little pose here as well, and Emily has framed it in a white frame. And I got to tell you, you know what I'm about to say. I need this for my reality show museum. I need a sexy Shannon Beador photo just as a conversation piece of like, ooh, who is that hot older lady? I'll be like, that is one Shannon Storms Beador. Like, this would be great on a t-shirt, this image. If you guys saw, like, this is how I'm so weird. Like, I look at this, I'm like, oh, I need to wear this. I need this somehow in my life. I need a framed photo of this. If anybody at Bravo is listening, or Emily, if you're listening, can I get this photo? It doesn't have to be the exact one. We don't have to steal it back from Shannon, but I wish they were selling this at the merch table at Shannon and Vicki Live last night. So Emily says, this woman has gone through hell. I just want to remind her of how amazing she looks, how strong she is. And I want to memorialize it and give it to her. And Emily is still talking to her dog, Togo, and going, she's 60. She's 60. Thank God Togo didn't just like freak out and start barking like Cujo. And Emily's like, Togo, isn't she pretty for 60? Isn't she pretty? Get down, Togo, get down. Then we go over to Katie's place. Katie's applying body makeup. The things that ladies have to do to get ready. These round robin scenes. Katie gets a FaceTime call from Jenn Pedranti. And they have actually, seems like they have a real, Katie and Jenn are really tight now, I hear, especially in the off season. So that's nice. So they're talking, and Jen's like, I can't find anything to wear. And Katie's like, how are you feeling about today? Are you anxious to see Tamra? And Jen's like, today is about Shannon. I just don't really give two shits about talking to Tamra. And Katie's like, I think that's fair. You don't want to go backwards. And Jen's like, we went backwards, Katie. And Katie's like, I know. And Jen's like, we went very backwards. And then Jen's like, I got to go get a dress. Bye. Okay, so we got that little scene. And Katie's like, ay, ay, ay. Now we are at the tea house on Los Rios is the name of this place. We see the tea house, like this beautiful orchestra music is playing, and Shannon Beador comes in this like beautiful black number. Kind of looks like she's dressed for a funeral, but like kind of sexy. And she had like this black hat on, fully done up. And I'm like, oh my God, she's arriving by herself to her 60th birthday party. But like, listen, this woman is strong. She's got it going on. And Shannon's like, it's so pretty. And the manager's showing like, this is the Victorian view patio for us today, where you ladies will be fighting and saying horrible things to each other. And the guys go, all edible flowers from our garden too. Have you ever eaten one of these edible flowers? No, like just because something like will actually go through your body and you can process it doesn't mean it's edible. Like it should be like all edible flower. None of it tastes good, but yeah, you can eat it. Like you could eat cardboard as well. I just want to like let people know there's not like, yeah, like I can eat paper if I want. It doesn't mean I should. But anyway, Shannon's like, wow, you can eat it. Okay. This is gorgeous. Did you get the gifts that I sent? And he's like, yeah. Do you like it here? And we see all these gold wrapped gifts. And Shannon's like, I will put the place cards out. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing this. Oh my God, look at little tea things on the nameplate. Shannon goes, 60 is a milestone and it's a year of change for me. I mean, I don't even have my children here to celebrate with me. So it's kind of like Shannon's 60 and alone. And then she goes, I'm a spinster. And then she goes, ooh. She should have brought Archie. Like Archie should have been, you know what? I don't usually go out and I don't like the cameras, but for your 60th, let me drive. I'm going to go. Yeah. Archie the dog should be here. I was kind of half hoping that Shannon would bring Archie to the live show last night. Cause I'm telling you, Archie would have gotten a standing ovation. I would have stood up, you know how like at the Venice Film Festival, they'll all do those articles. They'll be like, oh, there was a 12-minute standing ovation for the Joker. You know, I would give a 12-minute standing ovation if I saw Archie Beador. I would just slow clap until everybody started clapping. And then I would just give Archie a big old belly rub and say, I'd be like, hey, I just need you to know you are a very good boy. You are a very good boy. And we are going to give you some treats. We're going to give you some treats. Anyways, Shannon is talking to the staff. She's like, I'm delivering a bit of a surprise today. So I'd like for them to come in first. I'll come in last, and then I'll give them my surprise. And the guy's like, I love it. And Shannon's like, and then we'll just get that all out of the way, and then we'll have fun. Let's see if this happens. Now, all of a sudden, the Orange County producers have chosen to put like a rap song, and it's like, life is for the living, and I'm going to live it. Life is for the living, and I'm going to live it. Life is for the living. Gonna get it. I'm making it sound more rock and roll, but it was hip hop-ish. So Shannon has gone away while the ladies arrive, and Emily and Gina arrive first. They see the seating chart, and Emily puts down her framed boudoir photo of Shannon. God, it's very erotic. And Gina's like, she's gonna blush when she sees this. We see Jenn Pedranti in this beautiful like sunflower dress. Emily orders a mimosa and a Diet Coke. Thank God they don't have espresso martinis there. That's Emily's favorite. So Jenn walks in, they're like, hey. And Gina's like, oh my God, I thought you were Tamra, Jenn. And Jen's like, come on, stop. And Gina's like, you guys look so much alike. You do. And then we see Heather Dubrow in a very form-fitting dress, slow-mo walking in. So that's going to happen because remember, Emily and Heather still need to talk. We see Heather wearing a very fancy shopping bag. I think it's like not Coach, but one of those, not Louis Vuitton, one of those fancy places. So Heather always brings the really nice gifts for everybody. So Heather comes in. Hello, everybody. It's me, Heather Dubrow. Where am I sitting? And then she goes to Emily. Can I talk to you, Emily? And Emily's like, now? And she goes, yeah, just quickly. And Emily goes, no. And Gina looks at Emily like, oh, God. And Heather goes, okay. And Emily goes, okay, listen, I wanted to talk to you friend to friend, Heather. I didn't want to go home crying and feel like shit. And Heather goes, I probably wasn't in the spirit to do the private conversation at that time. Gina in a talking head goes, Heather, now approaching Emily just feels very calculated. Yeah, she cannot just be in the moment. She has to always remove herself, step away, come up with the perfect thing to say, and then come back. And then she wants to have that conversation. It doesn't feel genuine. And it's like your goal should be share your feelings and communicate and make it better with your friends. Guys, Gina is killing it this season. Gina, with laser-like precision, I think, knocked that description out of the park. It is so accurate that I think Heather Dubrow will potentially never talk to Gina again. Like, those moments where like Heather's been on the fence with Gina? I think after she watches that little thing, I think it's done. I think they're going into this Sunday's reunion where Heather's going to be like, I need to talk to you about what you said in episode 13. And Anna's going to be like, listen, we don't really care. We need to get to Johnny J and Alexis. Like, we need to move on. But I think Heather is going to be livid over this. Okay, now Katie Janella enters. Hi, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And Heather goes, Emily, can we just talk for a few minutes, please? And Emily's finally like, all right. Emily and her talking to her goes, this birthday tea party, it's about Shannon. I don't want to make it about us. But if I know Heather, it'll just build. And so they go off to another space. And Emily's like, all I can hope is that maybe Heather just has maybe a little ounce of compassion, a little ounce about what I was trying to convey. Emily starts it off. It goes, Heather, first of all, let me say that I was so excited to be in a fashion show. I like Heather Dubrow's active listening face. She's like, I am listening very intently like a good friend does. So Emily goes, I'm going to get upset. Emily already starting with the tears. She goes, this is very triggering for me. And Heather goes, I hear you. I get you. When you hang two dresses, Heather, next to each other, and one's really small and one's big, and I get the big one and Alexis is the small one, it makes you feel badly. Heather goes, okay. And then you have to understand, in my mind, what do I think? And Heather's like, why are you giving me the oversized jacket? Yeah. And then the next outfit was like, you have to bring your own pants. And from my viewpoint, I thought everybody was bringing jeans for that last thing. So then when I realized that I was the only one, where do you think my mind went? And Heather goes, I can't fit in the clothes. And I was like, yeah. And I know you didn't do it on purpose, but you have to understand my viewpoint and my psyche. Heather in this moment is going, yeah, your psyche, I think you're fucking crazy. I will carry that as well. No, but Emily continues. She's like, I felt like maybe you didn't see that I'd lost 40 pounds over the last year. Do you understand? And Heather goes, that's so crazy. And Emily's like, no, listen, this is me though. And Heather goes, I think you look fantastic. It's all I've said to you is how great you look. And I was like, I know you don't understand this, but this is really hard for me. And we cut to commercial after like reaction looks from both of the ladies. We go back to the actual tea party, and Gina's telling Katie, eat it, the flour, the edible, eat it. It's like a salad. Do it. Yeah. And Katie eats it. And Gina's like, what does it taste like? And Katie just makes a face. It's like, it's not good, huh? And then Tamra walks in. And Tamra's like, Shannon not here? No, okay. Tamra, Shannon not here? Is she drinking like an alcoholic? And then Tamra's like, Emily's not here? And they're like, no, Heather and Emily are talking. We go back to Emily, and Emily's like, I felt like, Heather, maybe you didn't see that I'd lost 40 pounds over the last year. Oh, that's so crazy. We already saw this part. But Emily goes, I've been made fun of. I've been called names. It always hurts to feel like that you're bigger than everyone else. And so for once, I thought that I got to not be that. And I just felt like that again then. And Heather goes, I hear you. And Emily's like, that's all I needed. Honestly, that's all I needed, Heather. Heather in a talking head goes, I've learned you can't negate someone's feelings. Throughout my life, of course, I've struggled with body issues. I'm a woman in Hollywood. And I would never want Emily to feel like I would intentionally do anything to make her feel anything other than fabulous. Now, Terry might. But I mean, listen, I hope we can put this storyline to bed, like I said, for reasons earlier, because I feel like it is so close to Emily that it's always, unfortunately, going to be there in her psyche, in there, right? And I don't want other people to use that against her anymore. Or, like it's one of those things. And also I say again that I don't think Heather did that intention. And I know Emily doesn't think that either, but that's all you got to do. Just says, I hear you. You don't have to be defensive. You don't have to say the perfect thing. Just say, I hear you. I do hear you. So we go back to the other ladies, and Tamra's like, Jenn, I want to apologize for that whole FBI thing. Am I right? And Jenn is just staring at Tamra, like just blank face with a little smile, like, sure. Okay. Because Jenn, as sweet and innocent as she comes up, she's also not a complete fucking idiot. Like there is that element of she knows the bit. She knows the drill. She knows that she's been in this scene with Tamra so many times already in 2 seasons. And Tamra goes, I know we need to talk more about it, but I just wanted to apologize. I want today to be fun and nice for Shannon, but I just want to say I'm sorry. And Jenn just stares and pauses. And Jenn goes, okay, well, let's have that discussion another time. And Tamra's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, we can have that. During an FBI sentencing. No. She's like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't want to have it here. Yeah, but I don't want it to be awkward. And I don't want us to not make eye contact or anything like that. And Jenn is just shaking her head. Like she's not like going like, yeah. She's shaking her head like, yeah. And Katie's like, I love it. Jenn says, I'm interested in resolving this in a talking head, but I've done this with her so many times and it goes nowhere. I'm exhausted by this pattern, like exhausted. Heather, now back to Emily. Heather goes, can I tell you my side of all of this now? Heather, this is what you didn't need to do. You could have just said, I hear. Oh my gosh, I hear you. I understand. I hear. But Heather goes, let me tell you my side of the story, okay? The only reason I chose you and Tamra to wear the oversized moto is because it's a badass jacket. And you two are badasses. You two are badass. You're like Terry. He's a badass as well. She goes, the reason why I had you and Alexis wear the dresses is because you're sluts. You're both no. She goes, it's because you have the best figures. You're both tall. You're both curvy and voluptuous. I love those tits. It's amazing. If any moment you weren't happy, if you could have told me, Emily, I would have whipped something else out. And Emily goes, but I never wanted to complain or say something. And Heather goes, I get it, but you know what? We are friends, Emily. If you are upset with me in the future, will you please just call me and we can talk about it? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Heather goes, okay. And Emily in the talking head goes, I really appreciate that Heather says, I hear you. I just wanted her to have a little bit of understanding of where I was coming from. And I feel like that finally resonated with her. And then they hug and Emily's like, I love you. And Heather's like, I love you too. And that thing. Emily said, I'm embraced that and I'm happy we're back. And then Heather goes, why is the birthday girl so late? And I was like, she wants to make an entrance. Yeah, she's waiting for all you dum-dums to sit down so she can actually make her grand appearance. So Emily and Heather finally get back to the table. Champagne's being poured. Everybody's like, this place is adorable. And then all of a sudden Shannon walks out and they're like, there she is, birthday girl. And Shannon comes out. Everybody's like clapping lightly. And they're like, you look so pretty. You look gorgeous. Oh my God. And Shannon goes, I just want to say, I'm so excited that you guys are all here. I have a little gift for each of you. So I'd like you to open that up now. God, I would love it if these were each specifically blackmail things for each character. I know this about each one of them, but they're going to open the gifts, right? And Emily goes, did you see what I got you? Look at your picture, Shannon. And Shannon goes, oh, stop it. Oh my God, stop it. Sexy Shannon. And Shannon goes, I look like a madam in a brothel. And Emily's like, a hot madam? Yeah. Gina says, Shannon looks like a madam. That's prostitutes, right? We're talking about, right? Right? Is that what it is? I think she would be a phenomenal madam. I think she would have the most fun in-house. So the ladies are opening the box at the same time. They're like 1, 2, 3, and they open it. And it's like, Shannon's like, it's some tea because we're going to have a brilliant time. I would like to invite you guys to go to England. And she rips off the black thing. And there's the Union Jack. There's the flag, the British flag, all sparkled on her little tight form-fitting dress. And everybody's like, no way. What? We're going to England? And Gina's like, yeah, it's the real birthday party right there. And Tamra's like, I've never been to London. And everybody's like, you were close to not being invited. But yeah. So Tamra, first time in London. And everybody's like, yeah, this is going to be amazing. And Gina's like, I've been to the airport, but I've never been to London. Jen in a talking head goes, I've never been to London. Jen is over the moon. And she's like, yeah, Shannon. Better than Milwaukee. You know what I'm talking about? Those Salt Lake ladies. Milwaukee. Heather goes, of course. She goes, I love London. I have been many times. And then Tamra's like, we're going to have a little bit of tea. And we're going to do a lot of horrible accent work. And maybe we'll have some spotted dick. And then Gina does an imitate. I'm not great at imitations. Gina is like me. She starts trying to do a British imitation. Gina's like, I love Princess Kate. And I love Harry Potter and Hermione. And I love who? No, that's it. That's what I love about London. So in the scene, Heather's giving Shannon her gift, and Shannon's like, "This is a lot, you guys. This is a lot." And she opens it, and you guys, it's these beautiful leather sandals from Hermes. Hermes. And she's like, "Heather, that is way too generous. You know my size." And Heather's like, "It's your 60th. It's your 60th. I love them. Thank you." Tamra's like furiously scribbling on her Best Buy gift certificate she bought for Shannon. She's like upping it from 25 to 50. She's like, "Oh my God, Heather totally showed me up." So, by the way, what did Gina get, Shannon? Anyways, Shannon goes, "By the way, Gina can tell you I showed her the receipts for every single thing because we all of a sudden brought up Ferragamo shoes. And remember, Ferragamo shoes are the shoes that Shannon bought for Johnny J, which Johnny J wore in photos with Alexis. The tangled web we weave." Anyways, Heather's like, "No, let's not talk about it. Let's go. Let's go." And we flash back to Shannon going over receipts with Gina. Why didn't we get this full scene? And Shannon's like, "On Valentine's Day, here, I'm going to mark it. I bought him his loafers he was wearing." And then we cut to a scene with Alexis, a flashback where Alexis is going, "I'll fucking write the check to Shannon right now for the $400 shoes." Yeah, well, maybe just knock it off the 75 grand you're making her pay back, right? Anyways, Gina was like, she loved that. She was really happy about the receipts, Shannon, because I guess Gina probably told Alexis about those receipts, and that's where that reaction came from. Sometimes I just want them to show us the full flipping scene and not do this flashback, flash forward thing. Just show us the full scene. Some of us have decent memories still, and we'll be able to put it together. Like, it's always like pastiched, and by the end of the season, there's so many like, anyways. Emily goes, "Well, happy 60th birthday. You look amazing." She does look amazing. And everybody's like, "Love you. Thank you. Thank you." And they're like, "Cheers to your next steps, wherever they may be. And you're like, finally, Shannon gets to have a nice scene where there's not a lot of trauma, and you just let her enjoy the day. And all of a sudden, this old man walks in with this gigantic olive branch. And Shannon's like, "Oh, wow. The gifts keep coming." And they're like, "Oh, wow." It's like olive branch with all these beautiful flowers. And Shannon's like, "Wow, that is really something." And Emily's like, "It's got a message." I'm like, "Of course it does." Like, I'm just bracing for impact at this point. Part of me like knew immediately that it was Alexis, but part of me was like also hoping that it was from Archie. Like, part of me, there was so many, like I was hoping it was from Jean, her dad, her daughters all together. Like, let Shannon have one decent scene. So Shannon's like, "Is it from you guys, these flowers? Did you all pitch in?" And they're like, no, definitely not. No. And Shannon's opening the card, and Heather makes some joke like, "Is it from Tinder? Is it from Grindr?" Like, I didn't really fully understand. So Shannon opens the card, and a camera guy gets like a behind the shot of the card because they all know what's coming because they planned this. Okay. So Shannon's reading the card, and it reminds me very much of that scene from Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase, where he's been waiting for the bonus check, for the holiday check from his work, and he gets it, and he opens it, and he's just staring at it, and his family's like, "What is it, Clark? Is it more?" Like, "What's going on?" He's like, "It's good. Like this, like you see Shannon just going through something, and people are like, "Uh-oh, what is it? What's going on?" And Emily's like, "Who's it from?" And there's a pause. And she goes, "It's from Alexis Bellino." And Tamra, and I believe this is genuine, Tamra's mouth, her jaw just drops. Like, we see it drop. I do believe this is a real moment because Tamra's like, I was like, what a shitstorm, man. Like, come on, your birthday. And I don't even blame Alexis. I blame the Bravo producers because they are in charge of like when things get delivered, who enters the scene, who exits the scene. Like, they knew this was coming. So everybody has that zoinks look, like, zoinks, we just found out about London and we were happy. And Katie's like, "Oh my gosh. The Korean barbecue sitting weird with me." We go to commercial. We come back. And then he's like, can you read it? Emily. Emily producing there. Can you read it for everybody so the audience can hear it as well? And Shannon's like, it says, happy 60th. I genuinely hope this olive branch can bring us a fresh start as you begin this new decade. May God bless you with happiness and good health on your milestone. And everybody's just like, oh, wow. And P.S. Johnny J just put a large dong in me. No, sorry. And then somebody pipes up and goes, there's an olive branch. And Jen's like, there is? They're like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And Emily's like, thoughts, Shannon? What are your thoughts? And Shannon's like, yeah, you know what? I appreciate it. And I really don't want to spend today talking about it, but it's 9 weeks too late. I feel like there's been a lot of unkind things done, and I have no interest in being friendly with her. And I don't think anywhere on this universe, anywhere, anyone in my position would feel differently. So that's how it is. Emily goes in the talking head, how many peace offerings does Alexis want to offer to Shannon while simultaneously being involved in a lawsuit, talking shit about her, making her life hell? I mean, give me a fucking break. Emily, damn, you and Gina, Emily, I'm so proud of you guys this season. Listen, Emily's not going to have like a failed relationship season ever because I believe her and Shane are always going to be together. But man, Emily, she's just like, sometimes you give her the ball. She works in other ways. You know what I'm saying? She does the heavy lifting in other ways. And I love it, but she's fucking nails it right here because it's like, yeah, Alexis, like, you know what's also an olive branch? Dropping the fucking lawsuit. That's what it is. And also because this branch, this flower offering, it's for camera. It's not genuine. You don't care. You guys talk mad shit about Shannon behind closed doors, and you know you do. Like, be honest with yourselves. You're not being honest with the audience. Like, I don't even know. Part of it was like, you know, did she know the London trip was coming up? So she needed to butter up to Shannon, like kiss up to Shannon. And in what world would Shannon ever, at this point, after it got leaked to people, after all of this is happening, where everything would be okay with them? In what reality would it ever be okay with you guys if you were going through that situation? It would be no blaming. You've got to let years pass. You've got to let that stuff heal naturally. You can't force it. Thanks for the olive branch. I would have rather the money for it, right? Tamra goes, it's definitely a difficult position to be put in, for sure. And Shannon's like, I'm sure her coach told her to do all this. Tamra's like, huh? And we flash back to Gina's dinner from, a couple episodes ago. And she's like, I think it's horrendous that you're being coached by John, Alexis. Like, what kind of person does this? And, Alexis is like, you're poking a bear, Shannon. I haven't been coached by anyone. I'm uncoachable. You really want to keep lying about him? You're going to go down. You're going to go down. Shannon says in this scene goes, the coming after me didn't work. So now the coach is saying that you've got to be overly nice to her. Tamra in a talking head goes, oh my God, we're going to blame it on John. This is what Shannon does. Why can't Alexis just send her flowers to be nice? Tamra, come on, Tam. Because that's not the reality of the situation. And that's not who we've seen Alexis to be toward Shannon in other scenes. And you've been in those scenes. So you know, like Tara would be a great defense lawyer. Like, I could have murdered him, but why would somebody murder anybody, right? It's bad. And we don't do bad things. Like Tamra can argue of course she blamed. Of course. Yes, she does blame it on John. She does think this because more often than not, guys do pull this bullshit and they tell their women what to say. And I'm not saying that this is what necessarily is happening here, but there is a universe where this stuff kind of happens all the time. We have to accept it, right? And Tamra, you know this. You had controlling men that you were one of them that you were married to that you talk about all the time. So yeah, there is a world. And yeah, no, I don't believe Alexis did it to be sweet. I love you. You know what? I don't care what John Janssen says. I like you, Shannon. No, but Tamara in this goes, it's just Shannon. She's exhausting. Shannon's exhausting. Now, Shannon in this scene tells the ladies, I have to create boundaries for myself. And that's what I'm learning. So I'm out at this point. Things keep happening. And I know you all saw what came out in the press on Friday in People, and it's just mind-boggling to me when I offered everything he wanted, and his answer was no. And Tamara goes, I tried to call you that day. On Friday. And she goes, oh, yeah. And then Tamara goes, and then you butt dialed me. And Shannon's like, oh. And then we flash back to that butt dial, even though we've seen it 2 other times in this episode, right? And we hear, Shannon crying, like, I think you need to call him and do, what are you doing? And then Tamra tells the ladies, you were crying on the butt dial. And Shannon's like, well, because they said, do you want to make a statement? And I said, absolutely. Can you wait 30 minutes until I speak to my attorney? And then I got a text 5 minutes later. No, they're not going to wait. So yeah, I was upset because I offered him what he wanted and I don't need to. First off, I want to say, very proud of Shannon. You do sometimes in life. I wish I had learned this way earlier in life, like 30 years earlier. You got to set boundaries. As hard as it is, you got to set boundaries because you will be walked all over. You will be misunderstood. You will be misrepresented. You'll be treated in certain ways because you have not set any clear boundaries. I've been the worst at setting boundaries in my life because of fear, because of all this bullshit. But you got to do it. And I'm so proud of Shannon in that moment because, like, yeah, guys, cameramen, producers, you got enough out of Shannon this season. Like, it's time. Like, yes. Like what? Shannon is supposed to invite Alexis to London for the show? No. Shannon wants to go and have a good time. Like, let her have this fucking trip. Like, I'm sure you'll still find other ways, new and inventive ways to torture her over in England, but let her have that without Alexis, right? Let her have that. And in some ways, Alexis is then able to be a martyr, a victim, and Alexis seems to like to do that this season. So sometimes both parties can win in this situation. And I think Alexis just kind of banked on us having a lot more sympathy and empathy for her instead of majority of it going toward Shannon. So that's A. And then B is Tamra, you don't need to bring up the butt. Like, just like, let the lady have a 60th birthday tea party. Can we just let, like, really? You got to bring up the butt dial? You're like, oh, you were crying. Yeah. Anyway, Shannon in a Talking Head says, issuing a press release about this lawsuit? Are you kidding me? John's trying to smear me because he's this good guy and I'm not paying him back. Shannon tells the ladies, I hope that you guys understand that there have been a lot of things coming at me recently that could have, in my past, taken me down. But I'm doing everything in my power not to let that happen. But exposing myself to Alexis has not been healthy. And I need to create healthy boundaries for myself. All the ladies are on the table looking confused because they're like, wait, I thought none of us are supposed to set boundaries. Like, what? What are boundaries? What? We do a flashback to earlier in the season where Alexis first saw Shannon in the first episode. And Alexis is like, what the real issue is, Shannon, is that I have your ex-boyfriend. That's what the real issue is. So guess what? If you don't like it, there's the door, Shannon Beador. I wrote that just yesterday. But also, Alexis, it still cracks me up. She says this, and then Alexis is the one to walk through the door. There's the door, Shannon Beador, and then Alexis goes through the door. Like, no, Shannon, you should have waited for her to go through the door for that to make sense. Emily, we go back to the scene. Emily's like, hey, I got a question, though. Emily Simpson, Realize Orange County. I got a question. Are you going to send a thank you note for the flowers? And Shannon goes, oh, fuck, Emily. Well, I pre-wrote a text to Alexis. And Tamra's like, wait, what? Well, I wrote a text to Alexis. I haven't sent it yet. Okay, this is what I said, ladies. Hello, Alexis. It's me, Shannon Beador. I am hosting a trip to Europe with my friends. And I just wanted to make it clear that you are not invited. Everybody laughs. Heather goes slack-jawed. Emily goes, Shannon, this is bad. This is bad. And Katie's like, do you want somebody else to tell her? And Shannon's like, yeah, you guys go tell her. I'm fine with that. Yeah. And then, Katie goes, me and Jenn can tell her. Katie looking for another scene. Yeah, we'll do it. Well, yeah. Do we get paid by the scene here? Shannon and I talking, he goes, I'm just not going to stand there and sit by and let people try and hurt me. Katie goes, I think it should be more like we're not on good terms. So maybe. And Shannon's like, no. There's no maybe. Shannon and I talking, he goes, I feel like I'm drawing my strength from myself. I know that I'm a survivor. I'm not a victim. It's my 60th birthday. You're damn straight you're not coming on this trip. That's what I need. I need Shannon Beador to stand up and say, I'm proud to be an American where at least I'm not around Lexi. And I hope Johnny J's enough. Man, you took from me and I'll proudly go to London without your stanky ass because Orange County is Shannon Beador's show. I couldn't hit the high note, so I went low. Anyways, Shannon tells the ladies, I'm fucking sticking up for myself today. I'm a 60-year-old survivor. That's what I'm doing. And they're like, it's your birthday. Yeah. They're like, sorry. Yeah, sorry. And Heather goes, it's a little harsh. The text is a little harsh. It's a little. And Katie's like, we got to soften it just a little bit. And Jen's like, oh, you know what? Do I need to list off again? And they're like, no. We don't want you talking more. No. And Emily goes, I think you should send it. Emily, yeah, no, it's good. I think you should send it. Jenn says in a talking head, my hope is Katie and I can sit with Alexis and lovingly try to help her navigate her feelings on this. I can make it make sense for Alexis without it being painful for her. Jenn, good heart, but Jenn, be careful on who you use it with, right? So Emily goes, maybe we should go around the table and everyone share their favorite memory with Shannon. And Shannon's like, oh, you guys, yeah, I'm already laughing. Tamra goes, one of the funniest memories of all is when I've consistently called you an alcoholic this season. I always get it. No, she goes, one of my favorite memories is we somehow fell into a pool, right? And we flash back to that scene with Vicki where they're all naked and they like get thrown into the pool and they're all giggling. And Tamara's like, we were doubled over laughing. There are those moments of like them all having fun that you're like, oh, it's nice. Emily says, my favorite is when we were in Cabo, right? And then we tried to ride the piñata. And then we flash back to that. I will say these two memories so far is that they've been like stinking drunk. Heather goes, one of my favorite things is when we're on a trip late at night and being just stupid. And then we just flash back to a vacation in 2023 where they're all like throwing things at each other and laughing. And Heather goes, we laugh so much. And Shannon goes, thank you. Yeah, I laughed. I like it. Yeah. Heather goes, I love those times. And she goes, I really can't wait to have some laughs with you guys. I can't wait. See you soon in London. He goes, in London. Cheerio. Oh, my God. Okay, we are finally at our final scene. Let's bring it on home. This is a big one. We are at Alexis Bellino's house. She has a very nice house, and she is setting up the favorite housewife snack of all time. That's right, a charcuterie tray. And we hear Katie knocks at the door, and, Alexis goes, there's a doorbell. Knock. There's a door. Fun, Lexi. What a knock. In 2024? Knock. There's a doorbell. Crazy. And Alexis like, hey, Katie. She's like, oh, you look so good. And Katie's like, oh my God, you have food. Hallelujah. Not hallelujah. Hallelujah. And Lexi's like, have some of this charcuterie. Let me get a couple of plates for us. Okay. And then Jenn rings the doorbell and Alexis is like, yeah, the doorbell. Yeah. Hello, Jenn. Is Katie here? Jenn asks. Yeah. I like that Jenn asks, is Katie here? Like, I'm scared to be alone. Is Katie here? And Alexis is like, let's walk in the foyer. Let's walk here. Let's carry the charcuterie. I got it. Okay. And they're like, how pretty, Alexis. This is so beautiful. And Alexis is like, let me get my Diet Coke. And then Jenn whispers to Katie, she's in a really good mood. And Katie's like, I know, but it's not going to last long. Katie and the talking head goes, I think Alexis is owed someone face to face to say, hey, this is maybe not the trip for you. I do want to push back on that a little bit, is that like we've seen so many seasons and years through all the iterations of Housewives of people not being invited on cast trips. It's never been a big production. Sometimes like they'll be like, oh, I was hurt, I wasn't invited, but it's never been a like, needs a sit down face to face scene with other people. Like, it's like, yeah, you're not invited. Okay. But this is a thing. So Alexis sits down and Katie's like, let's just give Alexis a couple drinks. We can chill. And then we can be like, hey, you're not coming on the trip, right? But it's great to see you. Thanks for the wine. And then we'll just go, right? And Alexis comes in hot, the ghost. Alexis comes in hot. She's immediately with her hands. She's like, how did it go at Shannon's birthday? How did it go? I sent her a bouquet. You guys see the flowers? I sent her a bouquet. And Katie's like, it was gorgeous. And Alexis is like, are we going to move forward? And then Jenn and Katie both say at the same time, no. And then Alexis like leans back. Why? And Katie goes, she said you should have done it 8 weeks ago. Why now? And Alexis goes, hold. I'm not even making this up to annoy you guys. She goes, hold on. And it looks like she's bench pressing the air. She goes, hold on. What? Why? She stands up with her hands over her head. Why? I'm extending a literal fucking olive branch, and I'm still fucking always getting shit on. She starts tearing up. In a talking head, Alexis goes, my last effort was to extend an olive branch. Unfortunately, I keep hitting a brick wall. I want peace in this group. That's it. That's all Fun Lexi wants is peace in this group. Yes, bad timing with the lawsuit. Can you at least acknowledge that? Anyways, Katie goes, so she has a text message for you. This is such a stupid idea. It's fun to watch, but it's such a, she has a text message for you, then send the text. Maybe Shannon has a weird phone plan where she only gets so many texts. Who knows, right? And so Katie's like, no, she does send it, but Katie's like, you might want to check your phone. So I love that it was timed out where they get there and then they had Shannon text her while they were sitting down. Now go, Shannon, go. Hit send. So Katie's like, you might want to check your phone, Alexis. And Jen's like, well, I thought maybe she sent it already. Did you hear it? Go ahead. And they're like, go get your phone. So Alexis gets up to go get her phone. Alexis goes upstairs and she goes, John, do you have my phone? So John Janssen is probably there, naked in his undies in bed or something. We don't get to see him, but we know his I felt his presence. I don't know if you guys did, but I felt a dark, anyways. Alexis, John, do you have my phone? And they're like, wait, is he here? Oh my God. And we hear Alexis tell John, Shannon sent a text. This is awesome. And Katie's like, I don't think she knows about the trip yet. And Katie's like, I'm praying to sweet baby Jesus that Shannon has toned the wording down. It's a little softer, right? So Alexis hasn't read it. Like, it's like, surprise. Alexis sits down with her phone and they're like, read it. It's so weird. And Alexis goes, okay. Hello, Alexis. It's Shannon Beador. I am hosting a trip to Europe with my friends, and I just wanted to make it clear that you are not invited. And Jen's like, well, we did encourage her to soften it a little bit. And then we continue with the text. Alexis says, that should be quite understandable given these circumstances. Thank you for the flowers, but I am not interested in any olive branch. And then Alexis goes, you know what? I've tried it all, girls. Have you really tried it all? I've seen you kind of argue with her, say, there's the door, Shannon Beador, talk shit with the other girls, and then you give her an all. I feel like we could have tried other things if we really wanted to go down that path. But Alexis is like, I've tried it all. Now I'm fucking done. And she's wearing these dangling earrings that are like swaying back and forth. And Katie's like, oh gosh. And Alexis is like, what is she so hung up on? Duh. And Katie's like, it's very hard to move on. She can't move on because of the lawsuit, right? And now Alexis is like tearing up. And Jen's like, I mean, it's very hard. If you guys were just moving on, it would be different. And Alexis is like, I'm sorry, but her actions have caused all of this. If she didn't borrow the money and she paid it back, we wouldn't be in this situation, would we? And you guys, I need you to hold on for your ever-loving minds right now. You're about to get knocked off your coal mining asses. Goes to black. The light casually is brought up. And we see Alexis in her normal talking head outfit with pink. There is a man sitting next to her. It is John Janssen. Johnny J. Janssen. In his first talking head of the season. In a suit. And he goes, I didn't want to take legal action, but my hands were tied as I was days away from crossing the statute of limitations for facelift money. Now, statute of limitations on being able to do anything legally. And the producer goes, was she under the impression that these were loans? And John goes, she 100% knows these are loans. And Alexis is like shaking her head in agreement the whole time. 100%. And Alexis throws in, we have evidence. Don't bring up the ring camera videos. And John's like, I have proof of that. Shannon sent me an email admitting that it is a loan. So the comments about these being gifts are patently false. Shannon has an interesting relationship with the truth. Burn. I will say this. I don't know if John, like I said, yes, I don't know if John agreed to this last minute because it looks like he is so weirdly lit. Like they didn't expect to have him there. So they're like, oh, let's throw some light. Because Alexis looks fully lit. John looks weirdly lit. And John almost, I mean, is this AI? Is this like CGI? he looks so like superimposed onto this, or I don't know if it's just like the bad vibes I'm getting, but it's so weird. And also, let's like take what he says at face value, right? Johnny J. If you had these emails and things like that, I mean, I'm curious why we had to take the legal actions. Like, did you try to show Shannon these emails and she was saying no? Do you have proof of that? And then if you did have proof of that, why didn't we talk about that earlier in the season more than ring camera videos and attacking on that front? Something is not adding up here still. Like there's like a huge missing piece. Anyways, Alexis in this scene goes, now you can see it. It's in the tabloids. It's a legal battle. Don't call People magazine a tabloid, Alexis. And Jenn goes, how did it get into People, Alexis? Was that you and John that took it to them? And Alexis like, here's what happened. Here's what happened. John said 70. He said, sure, but you have to have a muzzle on. She didn't literally say a muzzle. She said a non-disparage. And Alexis goes, we're not putting a muzzle on John. We've done that playing around in the bedroom, and it's not fun. No, but she's like, we're not putting a muzzle on Johnny J. Not going to happen. Jenn goes, we're still talking about the non-disparagement. Is that what we're talking about here? And Alexis goes, that and yeah. And Jenn goes, and other things and that? And Alexis goes, just that. Like, but there's something wonky here of like, what else is there? What else is there? And Alexis seems like she's about to say something else, but she stops. And then they all share this weird group laugh. They're like, ah! And then Jenn in a talking head is asked, do you think Alexis is the one that leaked it? And Jenn goes, do I think Alexis leaked it? And she goes, fuck. Yeah, no, she didn't leak it. And the producer's like, really? And she goes, nah. And the producer goes, it's weird that she's so upset about it right now, though, right? And Jenn goes, stop it, go next. To the producer, she goes, stop it, go next. Like, you can tell Al uncomfortable because you can tell she absolutely thinks Alexis leaked it. She's like, no, stop it, I'm done. I said what I'm done. This shows you how wonky this all is. And then we go to Katie in a talking head, and she's asked the same question. And Katie goes, well, I do know she has a good relationship with people at People magazine. So maybe she is the one that gave the story to People. I hate even saying that, she says. I want to be fucking Asian Switzerland. In this scene, Lexi goes, you know what? I won't be around this group. I won't. And she goes, that's not, by the way, it should have been, I won't be around this group. And we should have just been, okay, pack it up. Let's go. Okay, you made your decision. Like, cool. Yeah, nobody's begging you to be around this group. I won't be around this group. I won't do it. And Jen goes, that's not fair to us, Alexis. I have loved getting to know you. Maybe, Katie's like, maybe we just do things not with Shannon then. And Alexis goes, I'm done. This is unbelievable. And Katie's like, I don't want you to be done. I'm done. They're like, okay. Mind you, 20 seconds ago, they were all like sharing a huge group laugh, And now Alexis has gone to the other dark side, and she gets up, stands up, and she opens up the door. And she goes, I'm done. And then she like motions for the ladies to leave. She goes, I love you guys. Jenn in the talking head goes, are we getting kicked out? And Alexis goes, thank you for being the horrible communicator of the horrible news. And Jenn goes, I've never been kicked out of anywhere. And then she goes, wait, I did get evicted. That's so funny. And Alexis goes, bye, girls, and then shuts the door. Now they should have rang. Now, this is when Jenn should have rang the doorbell and goes, I know the doorbell now, bitch. But like, we could have enjoyed the charcuterie tray and had a nice little, like, these girls are very nice to you, Alexis. You don't usher them out. John's upstairs in his boxers. Go, whoa, I can't believe it. Shannon's ruining our time on Orange County. So the girls are in the driveway. And Jen's like, it feels like she's pissed at us, Katie. Did she just slam the door? And Katie's like, yeah, but I didn't do anything. And Alexis, we hear her crying, ah! And she's going up to John's room. Which, by the way, I wish we heard John's voice, but we just hear Alexis crying. And Katie outside goes, holy shit. And Jenn goes, no, that's bullshit. And Katie's like, we didn't want to come over and do this. Well, you would volunteer. And Jenn goes, I for sure didn't want to come over and do this. And Katie's like, we had to come tell her to her face. And Jen's like, yeah, somebody had to tell her. And then we go back to Alexis. It's a shot of a door, the second floor, and Alexis is crying, going, I have tried so hard. Outside, Jen goes, well, that was fun. And Kay's like, yeah, that was great. And they both get into their cars and go away. And then we hear Alexis go, fuck them. Fuck them. And that is the end. Next time on The Real Housewives of Orange County, we are in London, England. And then we hear somebody go, we'll have a spot of tea. Say cheerio. We see them in their little Union Jack hats. We see Buckingham Palace. They're taking some crazy boat ride where Heather goes, this is not fun. I am not having I don't find this fun at all. And then we have this scene where Tamra goes, are we going to bring up the Jeff Lewis thing to Heather Dubrow? And Heather's like, the Jeff Lewis thing? And then we go to Tamra talking to Shannon, and Tamra goes, there's something you said that was a lie, Shannon. And Shannon goes, the fact that you're bringing this up, you know what? No, stop it. I don't need this shit. Wow. And walks out of the room. So Jeff Lewis having a huge week on Bravo. They mentioned him on Roni, the first episode. They mentioned him on the preview at the tail end here. And it is wild that Jeff Lewis is all over Bravo all of a sudden. Now I was trying to think, because Shannon did appear a couple of times on Jeff Lewis when they were filming. So I was trying to think what it was exactly. You guys might remember more than I, because I was on one of the times with Jeff when Shannon was on, and she was still like, she had to be very careful what she said. She didn't I was throwing shots at John, and Justin Martindale was throwing shots at John as well, but we were doing it in kind of a joking way, and we were taking calls and stuff. But I'm trying to think of what was said, or what was potentially said, or maybe Jeff said something. So I'm really curious what this is. But my God, what a gripping end. So now we got Johnny J. We finally seen him on the TV, and I don't like it, folks. I love you guys though. Thank you for this super long, supersized episode. They're always supersized nowadays, aren't they? Well, I hope you enjoy it. Sorry about wasting all your time. No, my therapist would hate that I said that. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I enjoyed talking to you guys. Have a great rest of your weekend. My dad and my nephew. I'm so tired. My dad and my nephew get in town tomorrow, but we'll be back on Monday with an all new pop culture roundup. And Sophie Ross will be joining us again. It'll be her last week before she goes off and gets married. So she'll be off for a couple weeks. So she is coming back with us on Monday. And I really do. Thank you for giving me purpose in my life with this. I know it might be a weird purpose, but thank you for helping me with it. Have a great weekend, you guys. Bye. Oh, rate this podcast 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Bye. Ugh.